Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. We are on my channel this week. I am your host, Eric. As always, I am joined by Danny B. Where's he at? He's over here. Danny B. from Danny B Talks. We got the Iceberg, Jarrett Lundberg down in the bottom left-hand corner. And directly beneath my square here in this Brady Bunch game we're playing here, we have Kyle Weatherman with us to start off the show. Thank you for being here, Kyle, first of all.
Man, guys, I appreciate it. I'm excited for this. This is awesome.
Yeah, talk us through your season a little bit, because we've had some other drivers on in recent weeks who've actually kind of commended you. Like when we've asked them about like some of their drivers that they've been most impressed with this season, we've had a couple like Tommy Joe Martins. He was singing you great praise when he was on the show a few weeks back. So talk about your season a little bit down in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, there's been some ups and downs, definitely. But no, it's been awesome. Really thankful and blessed for the opportunity that Mike Harmon's given me, and we're just trying to make the best of it. So. It's awesome opportunity. Obviously I don't know exactly every single race that I'm running, just because it's kind of almost race by race, especially kind of sponsorship related and stuff like that, but, once I get in the car, I definitely tried to make the best of the opportunity.
So what's really been like the effect that COVID has had on all of this stuff? Like, has it made everything just a ton harder, or is it actually kind of closer to normal than a lot of people would like to think?
A little bit harder, on sponsorship side of things. Obviously, definitely that stuff's even tightened up even more than it was before, right? So definitely harder in that aspect. But, it's definitely unfortunate not to have fans and stuff like that. That's definitely a lot different. But, I guess we've been doing it for, about 2 months now or 3 months or whatever it is. And I guess we're kind of getting in a routine of things and trying to make the stuff that was harder, a little bit easier in aspects and ways. But, our social media numbers have obviously went up and stuff like that, just because obviously that's really the only way to kind of tune in and kind of see what's going on. So, we've definitely tried to amp up that platform and try to be more active and stuff like that with fans and stuff like that on social media for sure.
So Kyle, a lot of people know obviously your role with Mike Harmon Racing in the Xfinity Series, but you're actually wearing a Rick Ware Racing shirt right now. So many people might not realize, what is your role exactly with the team over at Rick Ware?
Yeah, so we're actually at the shop now. I don't know if you guys can see in the background. I don't know how to make it zoom in, but I'm actually here at Rick's. So on a weekly basis, I have a job at Rick's as a mechanic. And since I was 8 years old when I started racing in go-karts, I've always been working on the cars that I've been driving on. I've been very hands-on, and I enjoy it, right? And I think as a mechanic during the week, I think it makes it, better on the weekends when I'm driving of what's going on with the car and just random stuff that, I guess, quote unquote, a driver might not know per se. I think it just kind of makes stuff go smoothly and stuff like that as a driver. And also, I haven't raced for Rick this year, but also, building a relationship with the guys in the shop, I think is really important as well, So, and I actually go to Mike Harmon's shop when I'm done here, around 4 or 5. When I'm done here, I'll go and kind of help out at Harmon's as well. So, I think it's really important to build a relationship with the team that I'm working with and stuff like that. And as a driver, I'm very hands-on with kind of day in and day out of how race cars work and how to build them and stuff like that as well. And I think it's important in that aspect, and I enjoy being a mechanic as well. So it's fun.
I think that's really fascinating, because a lot of old school NASCAR fans would like to say, oh, today's drivers don't know nothing about working the cars. They just hop in and drive. It's not the case. You still see guys like you doing that. And we've had Ryan Vargas on our show before. He still works hands-on team over JD, and he gets to drive when he can.
Yep. And obviously, owners and stuff like that respect that, and like I said, it's just all around. I think it helps, right? And like I said, the most important part is like I said, relationships, in my opinion, and to build relationships with the guys that you're working with, or just in general, people that see you at the racetrack kind of working hard and working what you want to do for a career and a living is drive race cars. And I definitely make that known, right? But just to kind of show the dedication and stuff like that I have is, important in my eyes, especially, kind of when, I am fighting for sponsors and, I don't come with, a lot of money in my background, so that's important to at least show that aspect as well.
And talking about your background, for fans who are maybe newer, who aren't as familiar with Kyle Weatherman, the driver, talk a little bit about how you got started in racing. When did it kind of hit you that, hey man, I want to be a race car driver as a career? Like, when was that moment for you?
Yeah. So my dad used to race a little bit, go-karts, stuff like that, nothing at the professional level. But my dad's best friend, Brian Main, is related to David Reagan. And David Reagan's dad, Ken Reagan, used to work at U.S. Legend Cars, which is the Bandoleros and Legend Cars. So when I was old enough to get, after we were done with go-karts, to get in Bandoleros, Ken Reagan and David Reagan helped us kind of get started in that aspect. So we were doing go-karts just to at first kind of just have fun with a hobby with my brother, my dad, and I, and Brian, kind of on the weekends. But quickly we kind of realized that this is something that I really enjoy and love. And when I would say probably 9 or 10 years old, when I kind of realized what potential could be, I turned it into a career, and it wasn't a hobby per se anymore. It was something that I wanted to pursue as a career. And David Reagan was one of the first ones to really help me get started as a career, right? And after that, we ran Legend Cars with Michael Harper, which was the same guy that Chris Buescher ran with. So that's how I'm really good friends with both of them. So I took over Chris's Legend Cars after he was moving up to the ARCA. So just to, kind of a little step there, but both of those drivers, Chris and David Reagan, both have been amazing at help with my career. And those are two of the drivers that I'm definitely closest with and have helped from, I guess really the beginning.
So far in your career, you've made some limited Cup starts. I got to ask, what have you learned just from the time that you've been in the Cup series at different points?
Yeah, there's a lot at whether it's the aspect of how hard those guys race, and stuff like that, or, obviously going to some of these races and racetracks that I haven't been to and learning from the best, right? So, obviously with Rick's stuff, we're not, super competitive, but there's still, plenty of aspects that you can learn when you're behind Kyle Busch, for example, whether, it just anything, so I'm a very quick learner, and definitely I pay attention to everything. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I actually, when I was racing Bandoleros and Legend Cars, I actually moved up to the top series as quick as I could, because if I want to be the best, right, I want to race against the best, and to make myself better. I feel like that's the best way to do it, is to kind of throw yourself in the pond and see if you can swim, kind of thing, so it's obviously a little bit different at the Cup level, but when I in the younger days, that's kind of how I made myself better, is just racing against the best, and soon enough, hopefully can be the best, so that's kind of how I look at it.
Kyle, what would you say is going to be your long-term goal as a racer? Like where, 5 years from now, where do you hopefully see yourself?
I hope I'm at the Cup level, and I'm going to be as competitive as possible, so obviously I want to be winning races and stuff like that, but the big thing, and I've always had this kind of dream and goal, is I want to make a difference and an impact. I just don't want to be kind of an average driver per se, or whatever, that just kind of shows up on the weekends, is kind of silent and, just races and goes home. I want to be able to make an impact, whether it was in my community, other states. I want to make a big impact, kind of like we're doing with, the Back to Blue stuff, and, just kind of supporting what I believe in, kind of thing, and, I just, like I said, I just want to make an impact for other people's lives and just create positivity. I guess I'm kind of a little tired of kind of the negativity side of things. And I just want to be a positive and positive light for other people's lives.
I can appreciate that. My dad's a police officer, so I can appreciate what you mean by that.
Absolutely.
You talk about trying to bring positivity wherever you go. What are some other, you mentioned David Reagan and other guys playing a part. What are some of the other people or even drivers that you would say have really been kind of that positive energy for you getting your career to where it is now?
Yeah, definitely those two. Carl Edwards has helped me out actually a little bit, and he's an amazing guy, whether it's on the racetrack, off the racetrack, how he represents himself in every aspect. So, I think Carl Edwards is another one that has really kind of impacted my life, of how he handles himself and stuff like that. And obviously, you probably ask any driver, obviously Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, those two have done so much for the NASCAR industry and the sport, and the way Richard Petty handles himself, whether it's how he signs his autograph and how he represents himself to fans and how he spends, so much time with each individual fan, right? Or just, how, his image and stuff like that is awesome as well, so, definitely I pay attention to everybody, right? Just how they handle themselves. And, I just want to, do whatever I can to make myself as a driver on and off the racetrack, the best Kyle Weatherman that I can be.
So I saw this one in the chat, and I think this is a really interesting question, is how valuable is seat time right now when practice is void and so is qualifying at all levels in the top 3 series this year?
Yeah, it's super important, so I think there's only a handful of tracks that I haven't been to, but still, like they said, I mean, obviously without practice and without qualifying, as a team, we're kind of going in unknown, whether it's, exactly where the car's at. Obviously we don't have time to, we're not even allowed to make a lap. So obviously we really don't know exactly where the car balance is going to start off at the beginning of the race. So definitely, super important to be in the car and build a relationship with the guys that you're working with. So you can communicate better and get the car better throughout the race as quick as you can. So you can be one step ahead of people that you're racing. Right. So definitely really important.
So, Kyle, I'm going to be the guy who asks a fun question here. When you're not busy at the shop, when you're not racing, what are some things that, what makes Kyle Weatherman happy to spend his recreational time whenever he gets it?
I'm an outdoors person. So I enjoy actually, I think my mom and I actually might be going hiking tomorrow. So whether it's hiking, I love being on the water. I love wake surfing and stuff like that. Fishing's kind of relaxing as long as the fish are biting. I'm not very patient. So I definitely can only have that to an extent. But no, I just enjoy being outside, being out on the water, stuff like that. Spending time with my dog, whether it was going to the park, stuff like that. So I'm an outdoors person for sure.
You ever fished from a kayak?
I have. That was fun. I actually almost tipped over as well, which was actually pretty entertaining. I wish I had a video of that. That'd have been a good one to share. But
was it like a small kayak or was it a pretty big kayak?
It was a pretty small kayak. So where I'm from in Missouri, we go to the Lake of the Ozarks, which actually is about 2 hours from where I'm at, based in Missouri. And I was there doing that with a couple of buddies, and it was fun. So no, I definitely enjoyed that.
Well, if you get some downtime when you're in Nashville next year, I got 2 bigger fishing kayaks if you want to find someone to go fishing with.
There you go. That might be a better idea. I've only done it once, so I definitely maybe scared myself a little bit from the first experience, but definitely recommend a bigger kayak when I do that next. That's for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's all the questions we have for you. But Kyle, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to join us live here. We know everyone in the chat very much enjoyed hearing your perspective, a little bit of your story. Where can people find you on social media? I have your Twitter account down in the description, but where else can people find you?
Yeah. My Twitter and Instagram's Kyle Weatherman, and then my Facebook page is Kyle Weatherman Racing. I do have a TikTok, Kyle Weatherman. I obviously there's a lot of rumors going on with TikTok. I do have TikTok as well, so that's awesome. Like I said, definitely trying to involve the fans more as much as I can, and definitely follow me on there, and we'll keep you guys updated. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you being on the show, and look forward to seeing you on a racetrack sometime again soon.
Darlington's the next one. Yes, sir, guys. Thank you. I appreciate everybody.
Have a great night.
Fun.
We're going,
you guys. Thanks.
I see in the chat we got 608 watching right now. Let's get some, lick that like button in the chat. Lick that like button, and I want to see a bunch of pens in the chat. I see some already, but I want to see just pens.
We've already
everywhere.
got some. Yeah.
It won't let me show it. I keep trying to show everybody's pens, and I just lick that like button and let's see some pens.
Yeah, scribble on that like button. Again, a big thank you, though, to Kyle Weatherman for being on. We have a couple other guests lined up for tonight. Oh, yeah, the pens are coming. Some are blue, some are, black on my screen. There's different types of pens.
I see in the chat, General Kenobi says, hello there. General Kenobi, you are a bold one.
Oh, it's a red pen now, too. Oh, goodness.
See, yeah, I didn't like red pens in school. It usually meant that I was wrong. I don't like seeing many red pens.
Yeah,
so with the pens coming in the chat, I think that's a fun topic for us to open a night off. How about Noah Gregson's Twitter abilities?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I loved it.
Yes.
That level of trolling is something that I we don't see that very often in NASCAR. Last night I saw it, and everyone, because I went on Twitter. I'm like, why is everyone freaking out about Noah Gragson? I'm like, what the hell did he do? Like, I'm thinking like he did something wrong or whatever,
yeah.
or like something got dug up. I go on his Twitter and it's a pen, and I'm like, oh, he played y'all good. He played you good. And I respect. You know what he should do? So like, I had like the whole Jocko Flacco meme going here. He should sell shirts like the 9 for Noah Gragson and just have a big ass pen on it.
I'm sure he's way ahead of you on that one. In the future, he's going to be signing things with a pen that have a pen on them. It's just there's going to be a pen paint scheme one of these days. But I loved it. Like you said, I loved it. Did either of you guys stay up and watch his Instagram live last night? He did at like 1 a.m. Yeah, I watched it. I watched the whole thing, and he just spent 12 minutes rambling about this. He held up where's my pen? He held up a physical pen and just talked on and on. Someone asked it like, did you sign like marriage papers? Like, are you married or something? He's like, no, but this pen changed my life. And throughout, I thought it was great because throughout the video, he was like hinting, dropping hints like, yes, I signed something racing related. Yes, it was in North Carolina. Yes, it's going to change my life. Like things like that. But he never said specifically what it was. And certainly a lot of people speculated that it was replacing Jimmy Johnson, the 48, perhaps. A lot of people thought it was a Junior Motorsports extension. Those are the two leading theories. And sure enough, today the truth came out, I guess.
Thing is, he didn't have to clarify that, what it was. Like I knew it wasn't a Jimmy Johnson replacement.
No.
I knew it was a JRM extension. But what I loved afterwards is that so many people played on the meme. I saw No Sweet did just a paintbrush. I saw Mark Sabetka. He's one of the crew members on one of the teams out there. He put like a wrench. I put a carrot on Twitter. And so many people were getting what we were doing.
Yeah.
See, I guess saw it and I was gonna jump in, but like I was like, I was gonna put an eggplant, and I'm like, no, that's probably not the best one to put.
Yeah, don't do an eggplant.
That's gonna blow up Twitter, yeah, for sure. Irvin, appreciate the super chat. He dropped a pen and some dollar bill or whatever that is in the chat, and then Eric Esparza, appreciate the super chat as well. Thank you for the support. I do want to mention this before we get too far into all of our topics. We're gonna talk about Dover doubleheader. We're gonna talk about all that stuff and more. But I want to let everyone know that William Byron will be on the show at the top of the hour at 9 p.m. Eastern time at basically the midway point. He won't be on live. We actually recorded the interview with him a few hours ago, earlier this afternoon. Hendrick Motorsports Cup Series driver. We got to fit into their schedule sometimes. But he was generous with his time, so we will be playing that interview in about 45 minutes. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, though, we do have a lot of exciting things to talk about. Jarrett, where should we begin with the action? And thank you, Pokemon Master, for the super chat. Where should we begin tonight?
I guess the Dover races, if we want to just sort of go off chronological order with some of this stuff.
Feels like that was forever ago at this point, but
it does. Like, I guess I could start off. I mean, the Dover overall, they weren't great, but I have to admit, I really, really missed seeing the slipping and sliding of a bit of the 750.
It looked really good. Like you could tell that they were having to really fight the cars, and that's what you appreciate. Them having to showcase their true talent out there.
People they went overboard, I think, on hating it. Like, it wasn't a great race. It wasn't even, I don't think it even was a good race. I thought it was maybe average at best, but people acting like it was the worst race ever. And
I don't think either.
When has Dover really produced great racing? Like it's typically fast and kind of out of control. It's known for big wrecks, really, to be honest. Like that's Dover right there.
I've always heard TV doesn't do Dover justice. You have to see Dover in person, and I have not been to Dover, so I can't speak from that experience. But yeah, you're right, Jared. I think seeing that slipping and sliding, and I missed it too. There's this long run, and of course it's NASCAR trying to stitch together a 2020 season, in the midst of all the chaos, in the midst of all the unpredictability. So we kind of had a run there of a lot of high downforce, low horsepower tracks. We're going to Kansas, Texas in the same week, Kentucky the week after, followed by a doubleheader at Pocono, and then Indianapolis. A lot of high downforce, low horsepower tracks in a row. Before Dover, outside of New Hampshire, I don't think there had been a 750 horsepower package race since like May or early June.
Wow.
So it had been a while. Yeah, or maybe even earlier. Yeah, it'd been a while. So I agree with you. It was nice to kind of see that. I agree though, Dover, because it's a difficult track to drive, the field does get kind of spread out naturally because the best just pull away consistently. But it was nice to see, air not be at the tip of everyone's tongue. It wasn't just dirty air. Oh, you got to run a different line because of it was refreshing to see that be different. I agree though, neither race was particularly thrilling necessarily. Neither race blew me away, but like you said, Danny, I can't think of many Dover races. The only one I can think of is maybe the spring race in 2016 was like obviously like, wow, that was an exciting race. That's an all-time classic. And I don't even know if I go that far. Outside of that, Dover in recent years, it's just always okay. You know, it's Dover.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I am on. I mean, like there's a few I can think back of, and I'm like, oh, it was fun. Like the 2013, I actually think 2013 was one of Dover's best years. 2 straight races that year of great finishes, you know, really close finishes. But it's never been a consistently great track. I do think, like we were saying, it's probably not sold well on TV, because I know when I've talked to Ryan Vargas about it, and he's like, the first time he drove there, he's like, what they say about it being a roller coaster is right. It's one of the most fun tracks to drive.
Because it's banking in the straightaways too. That's crazy.
Yeah,
and it drops. If you're gonna run the bottom lane,
yeah.
There's they said it's like a 15-foot drop. I mean, that you'll get like airtime on that. You'll feel your stomach drop.
And honestly, what I've seen, you know, doing, you know, game simulators before, it feels like every time you're going for the turn, it's such a blind corner, like even more blind than Bristol for that matter. Because Bristol, I feel like it's way more open. Like if you're going through turns 1 and 2, it always looks like there's just a wall, like it's just right there. You don't really see much, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a back straightaway with not much room.
So I guess we can look a little bit right now at the polls, since there's 2 of them to look at here.
Oh boy,
I can't go like all out with it. Both of them got 5.7 thousand votes, so thank you guys for
consistent. Good job, y'all.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of consistent voting a little bit. I mean, 6% thought it was a great race, the first one, I should say. I just put like in both of them because they wrote the Dryden 311. Like I don't know if anyone noticed that. It was the Dryden
double dipper at Dover. I don't know what they were calling it, but yeah, it was all over the place.
So I put, what did you think of the Saturday 2020 Dryden 311? And 6% of you thought it was great. 23% of you thought it was good. 58% average, 9% below average, 4% bad. Net positivity, 29%. Net negativity is 13%. Let's look at some of these comments here. Jimmy is this is outdated already. Fish Production says Jimmy is currently in the playoffs. Help me, Dover 2. You're my only hope.
Well,
you can thank the guy coming on later for messing with that.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Everything is Jimmy in the playoffs except Michael's twin brother, for Michael Roots.
Oh yeah.
Put the lyrics to "Staying Alive" by the Bee Gees.
Well, that's called that was Jimmy Johnson on Sunday, just trying to stay alive at that point.
J.R. Smith put just an average Dover race, nothing special, same thing tomorrow. Dude, well, you can't say he wasn't wrong.
No, he wasn't entirely wrong. I thought the Sunday race was a little bit more entertaining overall, but just because of the second half, it was really fun to watch Jimmy Johnson sort of move through the field, pretty consistently, and watch that gap. They had like the points as they run with Jimmy and Byron, and that number just kept getting smaller, and it was dramatic. And then on the final restart, him holding him off on older tires was cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I'll say this one. So my mom's a big Duran Duran fan, and Evan Necula put the lyrics to "Hungry Like the Wolf" by Duran Duran. So nice.
I wish we could play music on this show without getting copyright striked.
I know, that would be awesome.
That'd be fun.
We can play "This Ain't the End of Me." That's like the only good royalty-free song out there.
This ain't the end. Yeah. Let's see. Josh Henderson put the 4% bad. Kurt Busch fans unite.
Yeah, that was a rough first race for Kurt Busch.
That surprised me because he's been so good at staying out of trouble and being consistent all year. Dover just was like, nope, we're changing that. The miles definitely got him there.
Yeah.
I can see there's new people in this. Aunt Borb says, why are these people posting lyrics?
Oh, you're new, aren't you?
That's okay.
Welcome to my humble abode. Let's see. A lot of people just kind of so. Lot better. Gatorade Cup Series. I don't know if it's X94 or times 94. Put a lot better than last year, but the clean air is so bad, and that's been a problem for decades. It's just it's something that the Gen 6 has a problem with in general. Let's see what the last comment is. Let's see. Okay. Danny and Eric, guess, is it negative or positive?
It's almost always negative. It's almost always someone upset about something.
What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, it's negative.
It's negative. NASCAR Sam, man, that was a terrible race.
It's always
Probably
really
worse
negative
than
too. It's never just like, oh, I didn't really like it. It's always so and so is the worst driver ever, or blank was the worst race ever. It's never like just, oh, it wasn't that good.
I like how
There's
that's like.
more.
Oh God.
There's more on it. I just got through the first sentence.
Oh
Is
jeez.
it PG?
I'm pretty sure. I haven't read that far ahead.
Oh, it's long.
No spoilers. Probably the worst. Probably worse than Atlanta. There were only 2 green flag passes for the lead, I think. If you exclude green flag pit stops, seems like it was impossible to pass for everybody. I mean, Dover's always been hard.
Dover's
to
just hard to
but-
pass. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's its charm. They call it charm in Dover.
So, that was weird. It just, it exited me out of. I guess we're done with poll time. It exited me out of that one. I guess we can go to the second one really quick, which also got 5.7 thousand votes. So thank you guys for being extremely consistent and never missing a beat. So 6% of you thought it was great. Again, 25% of you thought it was good. 55 average, 8 below average, 5 thought it was bad.
For the record, I voted average on both. What would you guys vote?
Average. A very
Okay.
average Dover race.
So 31% net positivity, which I believe is higher than the last one, and 13% net negativity, which I believe is higher than the last one.
That doesn't quite
love
add
it.
up. Wait.
That NASCAR Sam is the first comment on this one, and he was the last comment on the other one. It says Ricky Stenhouse Jr. having a good weekend. Joey Logano starts laughing maniacally.
Yeah, wow. That was it's funny how both races went so similarly, because in the first race you had Kurt Busch get a little sideways and Eric Jones ran through him, and then the second race Logano just took out Stenhouse, both like on lap 6, like before the competition yellow, which I think is wild. I just like because then there was never really another big wreck in either race that I can think of. You know, it was pretty clean after that.
Literally, both of my Danny B Needs a Minute that I did after the 2 races, I was like, this feels the same as the other one.
Yeah, it was a weird deja vu kind of weekend.
So let's see. Parker says Denny won yesterday and Harvick won today. It's still 2020. By the way, update. It is below 90 degrees in here for the first time today.
Wow.
It's 88 degrees, baby. No, like y'all probably see I'm red now. I was a little more red when we did the Byron interview. It was like 90. What did I say? It was like 95, 97 in here.
Mid 90s, and you were trying to hold it together.
I'm like, yeah. As soon as we got done, I'm like, oh my god, it's so hot. No, but it's pretty good, man. It's better.
Now
Let's
I feel bad that I can be in my air conditioned house with the fan going.
I'm
so-
honestly cold right now.
I wonder what that's like. No, I'm kidding. Jacob Davis put a list of good plate drivers that are below the cutoff: Stenhouse, Jones, Newman, Kenseth, Reddick, Buescher.
Newman's good, but he's very unlucky.
Yes. Let's see what else we got. I'm trying to find people we don't usually read them out for,
Or songs we haven't heard before.
or songs we haven't heard before. Yeah. MV Rounder says that I will hype the Coke 0400 race by making a video called the Top 10 NASCAR. Oh, well, congratulations. Usually we don't read. I don't read ahead on that one. Let's see. Rudy K is being bluntly honest. Both packages suck at short size.
Jeez. That's a Gen 6.
Win, man.
That's a Gen 6 issue
You
on
can't
that
win,
one.
man. You can't win. Exalted 24 puts the playoff cut line race was good, but it don't matter because of Daytona. I mean, it could still matter.
I think it still comes into
I
play.
don't know. I'm gonna be there, so I want it to matter, man.
It's gonna be
Like,
hard
I
to
wanna
keep
see as
track
much
of in
like-
person. I wonder how they're gonna be able to how you're gonna be able to keep track of that, because positions change literally every lap.
I'm gonna have my handy dandy notebook.
Oh my gosh, you're
Yes,
gonna be
I
like
did
you're gonna be like
actually say a
that
Wait,
guy
are
at baseball games who's sitting in the rafters, keeping score just for his own fun.
Wait, you're gonna have a handy dandy notebook. Are you gonna sit down in your thinking chair and think?
Yeah, we just got a letter, not a freaking email. Yeah, apparently now Blues Clues has emails.
Good.
We are
good
so
gracious.
far off racing right now.
No, that's terrible.
Let's see.
That's terrible.
Del puts, can someone else win, please?
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the winners yet. It was another Harvick Hamlin style weekend.
So I wanted to bring that up for a second. So yeah, obviously, of course, they would have raced differently. I know, but I keep track of the Winston Cup standings and just the same kind of points and everything as that they used to do in 2003 all the way back 98. Well, 98, everyone talks about Gordon Martin, this really great pairing. 25 races into this year, Kevin Harvick would have more Winston Cup points than Jeff Gordon did in 1998.
Not surprising.
Denny Hamlin only has like 50 less than Mark Martin would that year. Like, this is legit one of the best duos in a season. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the big three, I'd have to go back and look at that. But I mean,
I think this is better.
When it comes, I honestly do too, because it's just they're insanely good, and they're like already matching their career bests with 11 races left. We're witnessing history right here. And I'm happy that I'm actually appreciating it, even if it is kind of boring, I'll admit.
I just wish they didn't like each other. I wish they didn't keep talking about how great a competitors the other one is. I'm like, nah, I want y'all to like, I want there to be, I just want some conflict between the two of you. I don't know. That's my only thing with it. But no, you're right. They've been absolutely dominant. And what was scary this weekend is up until this point, the two of them had 11 wins combined before this weekend, but all of those wins were using 550 horsepower high downforce package, setups. There's no short track wins or anything like that between them. We roll into Dover, 750 horsepower. I'm like, okay, this is finally a weekend. We're not going to see Hamlin and Harvick dominate. What do? Hamlin dominates on Saturday, and Harvick says, oh, we can't allow that to happen, so he dominates. It's almost like they're winning at will. Like Kevin Harvick just decided on Sunday, Hamlin won yesterday. I guess I should probably, pick up the slack. It's like that scene at the end of The Incredibles where they're trying to tell Dash to go for second and he can just finish second. He just literally can decide where he finishes in that race. That's Kevin Harvick basically now at any track. At first it was just the 1.5 miles and 2 milers. Now he's scary at the short tracks too. He's just, I'm going to finish first today. And he does it. And there's nothing really anyone else seems to be able to do about it. So this weekend scared me because now, I think now they're really, if we had any hope that a third or fourth guy might contend with them for the championship, it's obviously it comes down to one race and anything can happen at Phoenix, but I don't think it's going to be close up to that point, and I don't think it's really going to be close at Phoenix either unless they wreck each other. That's what it's going to take.
The competition should be terrified because this was their weak spot, and no disrespect to tracks like Martinsville and Phoenix and the ones that use this package, but I'd say Dover's probably the toughest one for a team overall to just go in and just have speed right away and to make adjustments overnight the way that Harvick's team did to have speed. This should terrify every driver that's going to be in that 16-man playoff with them. It should, because they have no weaknesses at all. Now they could go and lay an egg at Phoenix and this could all be moot, but I'm watching this and I'm just I just want to see these two fight it out in the last laps. I just I said, I wish they hated each other like they did in 2010. I wish they were every time they're in the media center just being I hope you fall off a bridge. I hope someone pushes you off of a
Well, that doesn't have to get that violent. My gosh.
That's how they were that year. We're Hamlin saying snide comments about RCR and they're going out and hitting them into the wall in practice. Obviously they don't have practice, but it's I want to see that animosity. I want to see that anger with each other, man. I want to see stuff. I hope that I don't know, let's see, Bristol or Martinsville or Richmond, they get into each other and they just piss the other one off. That's what I want. I want it to be where those last laps, you don't know if Kevin Harvick is about to punt Denny Hamlin or vice versa.
Yeah.
I that's what I want because I do think it's going to come down to these two. The whole season's been building up to it.
I think so. Yeah, but you said it. I just wish there was somebody, a clear person to root for or against. I wish you could kind of pick sides in this case. And I feel unless you're already a fan of Harvick or Hamlin, it's not easy to pick sides. I feel both, Harvick and Hamlin have had their run-ins with various other drivers before, so I feel that affects who you can be a fan of. I don't know. It's tough because there's no clear, doesn't have to be a hero and a villain, just there needs to be a clear polarization, two people that represent two different things, like Gordon and Earnhardt, kind of two different eras, two different backgrounds in a lot of ways. That was sort of what defined that rivalry. Obviously, that was a generational rivalry that lasted for years. This is just, we want this to last for 10 races or so, but still, I wish there was a little more there to make it more intriguing to the average fan watching at home. But it is what it is. We can appreciate that these are two drivers, towards on the back half of their career, without a doubt, already have had Hall of Fame careers up to this point that are now, I'll say this, and maybe this is controversial, but I personally think if you look at the numbers and mainly the number of championships, obviously Hamlin is kind of a disappointment because he has no championships to this point, despite having a bunch of wins. I think now he has more wins than Mark Martin. And, we all often consider Mark Martin the best driver without a championship. Hamlin has more wins. Kevin Harvick only has one championship. And the fact that he's dominated the Cup Series in such a way for 7 years, it feels like, and he only has one championship, to me, that's a disappointment as well. I understand the format makes it a lot more unpredictable, but I honestly think both these drivers are extremely hungry this year to win a championship for, multiple different reasons, I guess. But it's not like we're watching Jimmy Johnson versus peak Tony Stewart, where they both won a bunch of championships already and were already kind of defined as all-time greats. Harvick and Hamlin, they're Hall of Famers, but if Harvick wins a second championship or a third, I mean, we start having the conversation, is he top 5, top 6 of all time, I think? Because at that point, he'll probably be up 50, 60, 70, maybe 70, 60 wins. We'll start maybe putting him on that pedestal of top 6, top 7, potentially, if he wins a couple more championships. So I don't know. I think there is still something to watch this year, but it's not as intriguing, not as dramatic as I would hope for. But sometimes the playoffs, that's the best medicine. Sometimes that kind of creates things that maybe weren't there before.
Let's see really quick, get these last couple comments in for the poll. Just Evan B put Quinn Houff. That's the whole comment.
Oh.
Wow. Let's see. I'm not gonna read too much because I don't want to make division. But the president has left a comment, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm glad he could take time out of his busy schedule.
I assume that's not Steve Phelps you're talking about.
No. Great comment. Nobody's comment is better. Tremendous comment.
Was he
Evan
the last
Necula is
comment?
the final.
Okay.
Evan Necula is the final comment. Let's see. Okay, let's do it. Let's do another game. Is it positive or is it negative?
My guess is always going to be negative unless the trend changes.
Danny,
Wait, I'm sorry, I missed it.
positive or negative? Actually plays well into this comment.
Negative.
Evan Necula says, "Did no one watch this race? This wasn't average. It was good."
Wow, positive. What a deal. The chat even seemed to think it was negative, but oh wow, we've been duped by Evan.
We should play a game every time we read it out. Have the chat and have everyone on the panel be like positive or negative.
Glad we could get some positivity here.
Thank you everybody for voting in the poll. I guess the last little bit we can talk about is the TV ratings from this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Not that great. I think I had a double whammy of you are a doubleheader and you're going against the biggest race, so far since the Daytona 500 this year.
Yeah.
But likewise, it was not good for them either.
Well, you split the racing fan base, I think at this point is they're not big enough at this point in America where you can start splitting them because it's just going to hurt both of them. Because I think the American racing fan, I think at this point is starting to shift from just, solely IndyCar, solely F1, solely NASCAR to just watching everything. So I don't think you're going to have as many people who are just going to sit down and watch one or the other. Because IndyCar, the Indy 500 was down. If I'm looking at Dover here, first race, a 1.11 rating, 1.771 million. And then Dover 2, 1.19 rating with 1.946 million. I think that's still up.
That Saturday rating was actually better than the Michigan Saturday race a few weeks back. So that's a positive. And yeah, you're right. The Sunday Dover rating, even though it was up against Indy, was bigger than one of the Dover races that was run as scheduled last year.
It honestly could have been lower considering they are going against the Indy 500. But I mean, for me, I had one race on TV and one on my phone. So I was watching both, but not every fan is going to do that though.
We have multiple TVs, so we're kind of lucky in that regard. But
I was lazy. I just flipped back and forth. I didn't feel like setting up my laptop or anything. I'm pathetic.
Shame.
Hey, I saw the end of both at least. Well, I mean, I saw the highlights. I saw everything I needed to see.
You saw the going under caution for the IndyCar.
Yeah, that photo finish in the Indy 500 was. Ooh,
oh gosh!
I had to pause my screen to make sure I saw who actually crossed under the yellow flag first.
Imagine though, you get a good picture of that, and you don't tell anyone.
Add like a blur effect and be like, yeah, they were going 220 when this was taken.
Yeah, just like this was the finish of the Indy 500.
What do you guys think of the Indianapolis 500? See, I don't know. I know Darian follows IndyCar a lot closer. I don't really remember how closely you guys follow. I watch a few races a year. I always watch the Indy 500 though.
I'm very casual. I will get into it more next year, specifically for the Nashville street course race. Obviously, being based in Nashville, I want to be, a part of that in any way I can.
Yeah, I want to know what you guys thought of the Indy 500 because I thought it was pretty good. I was disappointed it ended under caution, but in hindsight, seeing the damage that was done to the track, I'm like, okay, I guess I get it. It just it kind of left me wanting a little bit more, perhaps.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that long, like it was like 50, 48 lap duel, basically, at the end there. I really enjoyed that. I think I am on the other end from a lot of NASCAR fans. So like everyone's like, they should have red flagged it and started up again. I'm fine. I'll be honest. I'm fine with races ending under yellow. It's disappointing, but it's like, I don't think that 4 laps under yellow to end out will make a race bad. I think it was a really good race. I enjoyed it. I wish they would have had fans in there. I definitely think Penske and everybody with IndyCar and Indianapolis was down with it, but sponsors and partnerships got in the way of that one. But overall, it was a good race. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed last year's race. I have to admit that I was very disappointed when Rossi crashed out because I'm like, man, there goes half the fun of the race.
He was a show for a while there.
I'll be honest, half the time I watched the race just for him. Like
he was the show at the end of last year's race too. He is the most dynamic driver, I feel like, in IndyCar. The little bit I've watched, at least.
And was it last year or the year before? My grandpa and I still talk about this one. But we're watching it and we were laughing like hell because dude's going 220 down the straightaway, flipping a dude off.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I was upset with that, but I thought it was fun. I thought it was a fun race. I'll admit I watched more of the Indy 500 than I did the Dover race, but I still was going back and forth, watching back and forth. But, as a casual IndyCar fan, I enjoyed it. I say this every year, and I mean it every year, but I never follow through with it. But I do want to watch more IndyCar because I do think it is a lot better than people are saying. A lot of people, NASCAR fans, say.
It's different enough from NASCAR that, it may not hit you the same way NASCAR does every week, but NASCAR vice versa isn't going to give you the same effect IndyCars. It's different enough. What am I trying to say? I'm not really saying anything, but it's different yet similar enough at the same time that you can relate to it enough. Like, I don't know. I guess ultimately it is different enough.
Scare me.
Yeah, well, that's a
never changed.
Perfect example. During the Indy 500, a guy just gets a little loose and backs into the fence. In NASCAR, you barely even look up from your phone. You're like, oh, guy wrecked. Okay. In IndyCar, you're like, you pause because you're just really not sure. And even in that race, Spencer Pigot, who hit that inside the pit road barrier thing, he had to go to the hospital afterwards. And I mean, that was a huge impact for what was otherwise a fairly just average spin at first. So yeah, definitely is. There's a different, you watch IndyCar with a different mindset, I think, a different frame of mind when you're watching those races versus when you're watching NASCAR. So I think for that reason alone, you can find something, you're not going to get bored. You're not going to, if you have to watch a NASCAR race and an IndyCar race in the same week, you're not going to get bored feeling like you're watching the same thing for 5-6 hours. No, they're different enough that you can find enjoyment in both and not get too burned out. So I agree. I'm in the same boat as you. I always say like, okay, I'm gonna watch more IndyCar this year. And then it's slowly happening. I've watched more IndyCar this year than I did last year, but it's not as much as I probably should.
Really quick, I see a lot of people thank you for letting people know that are just jumping in. The Byron interview will be on about 15-20 minutes or so. You have not missed
lightning
it.
Round. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a reason we put it later so you guys can, more people can see it. So don't worry about that, guys.
Now, I don't know about you guys. We'll talk on the subject of IndyCar here. Have you guys seen any of this drama between Colton Herta and Connor Daly?
No.
It was someone stole Rossi's tires off his golf cart. Is that the story?
I think so. And then
did they find out who did it?
I don't know. Somehow, some way, Connor Daly basically ends up. He tweeted out 3 hours ago, as shots continue to be taken directly at me for such devious acts in the IMS bus lot, I received an anonymous email today with a photo attached. Looks to me like the flowing hair and Yankee loyalty of one Colton Herta. But honestly, this picture is so blurry, it's hard for me to tell if that is him or not.
So they found the culprit. It's our buddy Colton Herta, isn't it?
But then Colton Herta put out 1 hour ago, all right, well, if Connor Daly wants to throw me under the bus for something I wasn't a part of, so be it. If this tweet gets 400 retweets in 24 hours. I'll release his phone number. It has 750 retweets.
That's funny.
Some serious
Colton
drama going on in the IndyCar world right now.
Oh boy, that is good.
Well, I think too, Colton Herta and Connor Daly are like really invested in the online racing community. I know they've done stuff with David Land a lot. We had Colton on here. Like those guys are awesome.
That's funny.
I love those guys. I guess we can sort of jump on to another topic if you guys want to before we get to the lightning round.
Perfect.
Ooh, let's see. There's actually a lot of good ones this week. I think we can look at the playoff bubble if you guys are cool with that.
Sure,
I can read it off. All right. So there's really only 5 drivers who need to talk about points. Everybody else is in or needs a win. Rhyme. So 14th.
I fully believe the win and you're in rule only exists so they could say win and you're in. And
it's catchy. It gets in people's heads. I'll give them that.
It does help though that the first person who took advantage of this was the most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr. So
well, and then Tony Stewart took advantage of it a couple of years later.
So playoff bubble right now. 14th, Clint Boyer plus 57. And if my math is right, which it could be very wrong because I am in no way a math major.
It's 90 degrees in there.
No, it's actually 88.
Oh,
we're below 90.
Perfect number.
Yeah. But if my math is right, I think Boyer has finished without stage points, 34th or better, and that's if somebody below William Byron wins. So if Byron wins, he just needs to start the race, basically. Like if Byron does, I mean, if anyone in the playoffs already wins, Boyer just has to start the race. I'm gonna go off on, and I think we can do. I think after we look at it, we can do our 3 picks really quick for who we think will make it into the playoffs. And unless it spoils our picks, then I won't force you to play your hand.
Well, let's save it for the end. We'll save it for the end of the episode. Who we think makes the playoffs?
Yeah, we can do the picks and then all that. But I think Boyer's gonna make it.
Spoiler alert. Okay, if nobody needs to stay to the end of this show. Like we already.
Well, I mean,
I'm kidding. No, you're right. He's 50 points to the good.
If he blows a 57-point gap, that's impressive, man. Like we're giving Benedetto crap for blowing it in 3 races, but if you do that in 1, like that, I don't know, man. That needs to be a meme. That needs to be NASCAR's 28-3.
I was about to say that needs to be the new Falcons or Golden State Warriors 3-1 lead meme.
I lost 57 points when at maximum I could only lose 55. So anyway, there's Matt DiBenedetto. He's up by 9. I said it in my video. I've said it a few times already this week. This dude is hemorrhaging points. Like this dude is 55 up and he's not bleeding. I mean, this thing is like artery cut squirting out.
Oh my
points.
God,
It's so
very
damn
graphic.
bad.
And then now you're like beaten up to a pulp. You're like, I can't go no more. And then now you're like, there's Daytona. Get in there.
No, it's like beaten up to a pulp, and then it's like, what do you want to do now? There's a giant blender. Jump in it. Like, Jesus, like this dude can't catch a break.
And just think back to his Daytona finishes here lately. He usually runs good, but how does he end up usually finishing? Crashed.
Crunched up and on a tow truck.
Oh yeah.
Behind DiBenedetto, the last guy in right now is the guy that we will have on in 10 to 15 minutes for people who are in the chat asking. He's up by 4, William Byron. Jimmy Johnson is -4. He was in for 21 hours.
For a night's sleep?
Yes, he was in. But he did close the gap overall because he was like 22 or something back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want to like make it sound like, oh, you blew it. No, he
had a good weekend.
This was a net gain. This was a net gain. And I think that call at the end of the Dover race was a great call, in hindsight. At the time, I didn't.
At the time, I was skeptical, but Jimmy wheeled it for 20 laps there. So give him credit.
It reminded me of Jimmy Johnson of old a little bit, like making more with less. Like that was Jimmy Johnson right there. I missed that. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I missed that. And then Eric Jones is 18th. He's -50. He basically needs to win. And then everybody else, 19th through 30th, needs to win, or that's it. They can't get enough points. So anything stand out to you guys? Anything analysis?
I mean, well, we'll talk to William Byron here in a minute, and we'll hear kind of what he had to say about his strategy going into this thing. But I do think it'll be interesting to watch the two Hendrick cars. How do they work together with the other Hendrick cars? Versus when do they kind of maybe decide that they got to go every man for themselves? Because at some point, if DiBenedetto runs well in stage 1 or stage 2 or something like that, and he pulls away by 10 or 20 points, at some point, the Hendrick cars are just going to have to accept the fact that, hey, only one of us is making it in. And it'll be interesting to see when that switch may or may not flip and who gets the better of it, Byron or Jimmy Johnson.
Well, and I think we're going to know. Hold on one second. Yeah. Buckets. I think we're going to know a lot towards once the first wreck happens, we're going to know we're going to see a much clearer picture of what needs to happen. If we have it's happened at super speedways before. If we have a crash on, the first 5 laps, we're going to see if DiBenedetto crashes, then, I mean, that pretty much wraps it up for at least one of the Hendrick cars.
What was it? I think it was Danica Patrick's first Daytona 500 2012. Her and Jimmy Johnson wrecked on like lap 2 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it can happen to anybody. It can happen to the best of them at any given time, just that quick.
Yeah. And we could also have a race where we don't have a big crash. We have a few smaller ones. We've had that happen before where there's 30 cars in the pack at the end. I mean, look at 2014 at Talladega. Kyle Busch goes into that race almost just under a full race up on the cutoff line. And because of a driver underneath the line winning and him crashing and other drivers having good runs, he went from being 3rd on the grid to 12th.
And even then, it doesn't have to be midway through the race or anything like that. We're talking the difference of only 9 points here. So say it's the last lap. So take for example, me and Claudia, we watched the 2009 Coke Zero 400 last night. Well, Kyle Busch is in the lead, gets wrecked, and next thing you know, cars are going by, boom, 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 boom. Before he ever gets to the start finish line, he's dropped back like 10 points. He's dropped like 10 places at that point. How many points has he just lost in that case today?
And you don't even need to crash to lose 10 spots in the last lap. I think back to, unfortunately, the 2016 Daytona 500. In turn 3, Matt Kenseth was the leader. When they got to the finish line, I think he finished 16th, and he just got shuffled out, made a bad block. So it's really, you're not going to know what. I kind of compared this in one of my last episodes to the Roval in 2018, where after Jimmy wrecked and we're trying to figure out if Larson made in, it was it took us a little while to do the math and calculate and actually make sure we knew who had moved on and who hadn't. And I wonder if we could find ourselves in a similar situation after the race this weekend, is waiting to finalize some points and maybe add up tiebreakers and stuff.
Well, and you can gain that many points too. I mean, Jimmy Johnson right now would be 9 points behind DiBenedetto. I mean, you look at I sound like the biased junior fan that I am. You look at Dale Jr. in 2010, 10th with about a lap and a half to go. On the back stretch, a lap later, he's 2nd. He just, in this system, he just gained what? Would that be 9 points if I'm not mistaken? Again, bad at math.
Something like that, yeah.
8 points.
Yeah.
8 points.
Yeah. So he gained 8 points right there. What if Byron or Johnson does that on one of the others? What if Johnson's way ahead and Byron has to do that for DiBenedetto, or Johnson has to do that for Byron? That's big right there. You're not going to know until the last lap if these 3 are still in the race.
I hope, for the sake of helping everybody at home, NBC can have the ticker showing where everyone is running, but just on the left, just show that playoff cutoff line the entire race, because that's going to be going boom, 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 like that the entire day, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
it
most
will.
likely.
That they're going to have their hands full with it. They got to do kind of like what they do with the intervals and have it just changing, like you're saying, boom, 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 boom. I'm glad that I'm going to be there watching it, because I don't have to worry about that stuff. I just have to see where they finish.
Yeah.
I will be going to the pad of paper though. I
like it.
I'm going to be bringing this pad of paper. I had to make sure that it wasn't the side I'm writing on, because spoilers. That's going to be probably full page. I'm going to be like Larry Mack and burning a calculator. It's going to be nuts. And then, people are going to be casual people there. They're like, oh, I'm just going for the first time. They're going to be going by
what is this? Is this man doing his homework over there? What is going on?
The hell is his problem?
Jeez.
You nerd.
Nerd. You don't understand, guys. I have a podcast.
This is a fun episode so far. I love it.
It is. We're like amped up right now. I don't know why.
It's the final one before the playoffs. By the time we're here next week, we're gonna be talking playoffs. I mean, we already kind of are.
It's freaking Daytona, not the road course Daytona. It's the fun Daytona.
Yikes! Absolutely destroying road course Daytona there. My goodness.
I mean, it was.
I don't disagree, but I'm.
I do not look forward to only having like 18 cars on there for the Clash next year.
That is fair. That is a good point.
Slap warned us, and we did not heed his warning. He warned us in February about this, man.
I guess if you're a Chase Elliott fan, it's the fun Daytona and the road course.
Funtona, yes.
I'm like trying to make sure that like everybody's comments get some comments are getting zapped out for no reason.
Yeah. If you want,
I guess we can go to the lightning round.
Before we do the lightning round, and then right after that, we'll jump in with William Byron. I do want to read off some super chats we've gotten in the last half hour or so. From John Lee Pettimore, thank you for the super chat. Is a 5th place ARCA Haley Deegan ready to advance up to trucks? I would say no. She has not impressed me in ARCA this year, but at the same time, I don't think she's learning anything in ARCA. I'd put her in a truck tomorrow, honestly, if I could, and just let her ride around. If it's for a couple of years, if she's running 20th, fine. I just think if she actually has hopes of going to the Cup Series one day, which I still think she does, and I still think is very possible, you got to get her into a series that is more competitive than ARCA. I mean, come on, she's not learning anything in ARCA.
She has disappointed, I think, a little bit. Like the expectations were that she would go in and be contending for wins, not finishing 7th out of 12.
Yeah, that's basically what it's been. So yeah, I've been a little disappointed this year. From Dennis, thank you for the super chat. Local race just got rained out. At least I got the podcast tonight. Keep up the good work, and he put a pen emoji. Well, thank you, Dennis. We're glad you're here. We appreciate the support.
Pens in the chat, baby.
Another one from John Lee. Thank you for the super chat. Ricky Reckhouse Jr. before the second stage. He's predicting, I guess, an early Ricky Stenhouse exit from this one. Stenhouse is going to be aggressive. That is without a doubt. We will see aggressive Stenhouse this weekend with a playoff berth on the line. Sorry, I lost my place. My bad, y'all. Trying to fly through these. Mr. Antiant, any word on when we'll finally see the 2021 schedule? Last I'd heard was end of August, but we're there. So I don't know when they're going to get it. At this point, who knows? GN, thanks for the $5. For anyone saying Takuma Sato wasn't a legit winner, you are 100% wrong. Go watch David Land's video on the finish to see why Sato earned it. I think, honestly, as a little disappointing as it was to not see the race end up under green, Sato had shown that Scott Dixon couldn't easily get by him. It felt like Dixon had been trying for a while there and hadn't been able to. So I can't say that Sato lucked into the win necessarily.
Well, and if you say that, you have to say that Dale Earnhardt's Daytona 500 wasn't legit.
Yeah, there you go. So I think that's definitely a good argument. Dustin, thanks for the super chat. Who's everyone's picks for this weekend? We will be getting to that at the end of the episode, Dustin. So stay tuned for the end of the show. That's where we go through all of our picks in great depth and with phenomenal research backing them up always. I'm sorry, I couldn't say it with a straight face. But thank you for the super chat. The other White Castle, thank you as well. Imagine how awkward the HMS meetings were this week. I can imagine there's some tension in there for sure. Nathan sends $1.99 and sends a nice blue ballpoint pen. Thank you, Nathan. Let's see. And then from Speedband, thank you for the super chat. Got a prediction. Denny Hamlin is going to be the 2021 or the 2020 champion. I mean,
there's a good chance on that.
Yeah, not a bad prediction. I just want to give it 50-50, honestly. I believe that's all the super chats we've gotten so far. I really appreciate the support, everybody. With that being said, I hear some rumbling. The hurricane just passed at least my area, and of course did a lot of damage all across the state of Louisiana and parts of Texas. But unfortunately, I think it's finally hit the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. It is time for the lightning round. Let's do it, Jarrett. Let's get rolling.
Well, let's get into it.
Talk about that then.
Great performance.
Oh, Danny is going to be in the next Sharknado with that performance.
Goodness.
Absolutely. I expect a minimum $100,000 salary.
Getting paid better than Tara Reid in that thing. Cole Custer is throwing it back to Curtis Turner. I will be buying that diecast as soon as it's available.
Did he reveal it today?
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't even see it.
anyone that watches, my channel or here, listens to me a lot when I talk about older drivers, I love Curtis Turner. He's the most interesting older driver. I made a video on him like a year ago. Like, love him. Awesome dude. I have his die cast in my room, so I'm gonna be buying that.
I love when I type in Cole Custer on Twitter, Colonel Cole Custer comes up before the actual Cole Custer. Kudos to whoever runs that account. Well done. Oh, I see his. Oh, that's a nice throwback. I love that.
And I see a lot of people saying Slapshoes made a video about him. Yeah,
he did. Yeah,
I was very happy with that. I heavily endorsed that video. Noah Gregson has signed some very important papers, as we talked about. I just wanted to reiterate that one. A little sad news here. The Mansfield Speedway is no longer a speedway. Stands are being torn down actually as we speak. So that's unfortunate. But something that's not unfortunate is Brandon Brown, who's been on the podcast multiple times, is throwing it back to one of the biggest badasses in NASCAR history, Janet Guthrie. And that scheme looks awesome too. Like,
yeah, it's about time she got a throwback.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be buying that throwback too. Like Janet Guthrie.
Here's Lionel Racing right now. Just
watching
money,
this podcast.
Money's raining in right now.
Let's see. Going down here, we can talk about that later. Why did I put this on the lightning round? That's actually a big story. The next gen test was completed at Dover this weekend, and the goal. This Cole Custer was driving. The goal was 500 laps or more over 2 days.
Cole Custer's got to be a tired boy.
Big ass test. NASCAR president Steve Phelps has been named to the board of directors.
Cool.
I'll be completely honest. I thought he was already there.
What new powers does he get by being like? Honestly, I don't even know.
I think like that has a lot to do with. Things? Yeah, and then I think probably like more power when it comes to like talking about TV rights and stuff like that. Which I mean, he was saying, I forgot what interview it was, that they're trying to move towards more noon starts and starts earlier in the day like fans want. The TV networks are not
pushing back.
Yeah.
All I know is that for me and Eric's sake, because we each do race reviews, it'd probably be better for both of us not having to try to rush and get it all rendered up and upload by like 8:30 at night.
I'm good with whatever keeps the weather away and also brings in the most consistent viewers. But yeah, so if that means noon start times or 1 p.m. start times, I'm all for it.
Michael Waltrip, according to J-Ski, has launched 2-time beer brand. Hopefully there's no illegal additives in it. The Southern 500 will now be called the Cookout Southern 500, which I saw a lot of people have.
Love Cookout.
I've never had it, so I'm gonna take your word for it. I've heard it's better than Bojangles. So
it's a restaurant.
Well, Bojangles is a chicken restaurant, but Cookout is overall. It does like anything. It does hot dogs, burgers, chicken, you name it.
Is it a restaurant or is it like a brand like Oscar Mayer?
It's a restaurant.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of it. Well,
Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe has a throwback to the Mobile One Tony Stewart 2011 throwback, or paint scheme. That's another good one. I'm not going to be buying that one, but it's still a pretty good one. Ally is offering a chance for fans to have 10,000 signatures on his Martinsville car. Go to signforjimmy.com, and you have to be 18 or older. You put in your email, and then it'll give you an area. You just sign with your finger, and it's a really cool designed website. You see all the other people who have put signatures, and their signatures are like flying around the car, almost like an orbit. And so I put mine. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty badass. It looks pretty cool.
Wait,
and it's just this silhouette of a car.
Say the website again.
The website is where'd I put it? There it is. Signforjimmy.com.
Easy.
What number were you? I know there's been a lot of people get onto it. I was like
6,247.
They might be full at this point.
I was in the 1,000 range, so I know they're about. Well, you could still be a part of something because I think the rest of the signatures will go on to like
the pit box.
The pit. No, that's like the pit wall sign or something like that.
The tarp that they have to inevitably put over the car when it, of course, rains, as it has every race in 2020.
This, like I said, is from Martinsville, and I just, Ally, make sure you don't screw it up for my end. That's gonna be my birthday. I want my name on Jimmy. I got my name on Junior's car. I want my name on Jimmy's car. So
good luck to line out. They try to make that into a diecast.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of little tiny scribbles.
Let's see what else we got. We got two others. A lot of people probably have seen this. I have taken full advantage of this one. Bristol and Talladega tickets are now on sale. They are having fans at the track. I cannot wait, man.
You are going to so many races, Jared. My goodness.
I'm going to hold off on Bristol, but I am going to go to Talladega.
Talladega's enticing. I'll think about that one.
And then let's see. The Hendrick Motorsports throwbacks are all to Jimmy Johnson paint schemes. They look really good. And then last one, Corey LaJoie will be out at Go Fast after 2020. May have something else lined up, may not. But I think the future is still pretty bright for Corey.
Yeah, he sounds optimistic, but yeah, he hasn't confirmed anything. Yeah. Well, where do you guys think Corey, like, just where's your best shot for Corey LaJoie, you think?
If I have to say what I think will happen, honestly, I don't think Ryan Preece is going to be as happy with his position with JTG. Personally, I think he would do better in a good Xfinity ride. So personally, I would say him maybe being a perfect guy to go to Stuart Haas's Xfinity program. If Chase Briscoe makes the move up and then they need someone good in their full-time Xfinity ride, I think Ryan Preece is a good option for that. And then I think Corey LaJoie could end up in the 37 car.
I'd probably say the same thing. And it's Big Cat put in the chat right now. Just signed the car. I am 6,985th.
Wow, I'm surprised they're not at 10,000 already.
There's 3,015 left. And I'm not that bad at math.
We need all 870 people watching to go sign if they haven't already, so we can get that number up over 7,000.
And if you want to see that William Byron interview, you gotta get that like number over 500. We're at 453 right now. I think we get 47 more.
All right.
I'd have faith.
We have 871 watching right now. Also, be sure to click the like button. We only have 454 likes. But also, of these 871, let's get them to go over there. And instead of signing your own name, just write Michael Roots so we can get Michael Roots on there that many times.
Yes.
What if people actually
good Gemini luck.
What if just everyone writes like one like line, and then when you put all the signatures together, it just spells Michael in like huge letters on the hood? That would take some serious planning.
We're at 543 likes. I think we've hit the threshold.
All right, so that's it for the lightning round, all right? We're done.
That's it for the lightning round.
Okay, a couple more quick super chats, and then yes, we got William Byron. We'll play that interview in just a moment. From Dustin, appreciate the super chat. Does Harvick pass the man he replaced? I guess he's talking about Dale Earnhardt in terms of total wins. I don't think so. He's got like 20 something to go still.
He's in his late 40s. Like he's gonna be racing for a little while longer, but I don't think he's got enough time to make it that.
He'll get close, but I don't think he'll pass him. I think Kyle Busch will.
Kyle Busch, I'd say Kyle Busch probably does. I think Harvick gets into the 60s, maybe low 60s.
Hamlin is at 43. He might even be able to.
Maybe. Nathan, thanks for the super chat. You gave me a heart attack with the lightning effect. Sorry about that. I apologize, but I hope nobody was harmed in the making of the lightning effect. Eric Esparza, we appreciate the super chat. Thank you. And Nathan, again, be patient, everyone. He'll be on. Assume he's talking about William Byron, because that is a perfect segue. If we have nothing else, y'all, we can go now to our interview we did with the one and only William Byron earlier today. This was recorded 5, 6, 7 hours ago, something like that. Him talking about this upcoming race at Daytona Saturday night, how important it is for his team to make the playoffs. I guess so. Without further ado, let's go now to our interview from earlier today with driver of the number 24 car, William Byron. Enjoy, y'all. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And this week, we are joined by Hendrick Motorsports driver William Byron. William, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a big weekend coming up for obviously you and your team. You know, what are the nerves like gearing up for a big weekend at Daytona, where you know that one mistake, not even necessarily one of your own doing, can completely ruin your chances of making the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's kind of like you just want to go out there and do the best, you can. You kind of take the approach into Daytona that you want to be up front, you want to race hard, and leave up the circumstances you can control, kind of leave those to after the race and not worry about those too much. So that's kind of the approach I take, is just being aggressive, being up front, and hopefully, I've wrecked out of the lead at some of these tracks, and that's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and kind of move on to the next race.
So, William, I got to ask, you're going up against your teammate this week primarily. I mean, Matt DiBenedetto is there too, but you're going up against the 48 team. What's the atmosphere in the shop kind of been? I have knowing that you're going to be going up against your teammate. Is there any animosity, anything different than usual?
I mean, if it was any other track, where drafting didn't matter and friends didn't really matter and you could just win the race by yourself, then you might take a different approach and might try to, just be on your own terms and try to do the best you can for your team. Like if you're going to Dover again for this cutoff race, you would just try to build the fastest car you could and have the best day and try to outrun the other guy. But really, it's not that way for this place. You honestly have to work together to get where you want to go. And luckily for us, for the both of us, we have the 21 cars right there in grasp for us in points. So if we both work together and finish up at the front, and he finishes 10th to 15th, then we both get in. So that's kind of our goal.
William, so going into this weekend, you said yourself, like, it is going to be about you, but at the same time, with the team aspect of it, you want to try to get all 4 cars of Hendrick Motorsports into the playoffs. So, I guess in the best case scenario, that would have to be you maybe second to Jimmy Johnson, giving him the win and making sure you're as far away from the 21 car as possible. I mean, in the heat of the moment, is that going to be something you would, be willing to do, or are you going to try to go for that win if you have to?
I mean, honestly, it's just going to be kind of instinct. I think at these places you can't really plan much. If you try to do too much strategy in terms of how you race, it really doesn't pan out very well. The runs come so fast, and you could be, for all intents and purposes, you could be running with the 38 car, the 13 car. Like it doesn't really, it doesn't really always work out how you plan it to. So honestly, I just watch tape back, probably do a few iRacing races at Daytona to try to feel that out, and just kind of do whatever comes to mind when the moment comes up. So it's really just an instinct race where you have to just race with all your instinct.
So this is the last question I think we have about like strategy this weekend, but from what sounds like what you're saying, kind of just go hard and race like it is any other Daytona race. So is it really trying to go out and get those stage points early on, or are you guys planning on maybe racing for the finish and trying to make sure you're there at the end?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is for us to win the stages. I think that's really critical. There's 20 points up for grabs in the 2 stages. So, if we can win the stages, I think it puts us in a really good position for the finish. So try to win the stages and then try to set ourselves up for the finish close to 25 to go. So I do think there's some strategy there for sure.
So William, kind of looking a little further back in the year for something that's actually coming up, you were one of the drivers who tested the next gen car. So how does that car compare to the current car we have now?
Well, it's interesting. I think that's, it's a good question. I think the place that I tested it at, we had 40-mile-an-hour winds that day, which did not really help our cause in terms of how the car felt. And plus, that place is really flat. California is really low in grip, really flat, and you add a lot of wind onto that, and it was just a mess for us. But really, I think Cole had a good experience with it from talking to him. Much better one than I did in terms of how the car felt. So I think honestly it'll be a pretty solid base. I think the biggest questions are when you go to a flat, really fast track like a Pocono or California. I think there's going to have to be some modifications for those places, in terms of the tire grip. So I think those will be your biggest challenges with that car. But going to a place that's high banked is not going to be a challenge with that car. The banking kind of holds the car in the track, and it should feel pretty normal.
William, this question I have comes in all fun. We're YouTube creators, so we upload videos all the time. If I upload something, though, about William Byron, most likely one of the top comments I'm going to see is probably going to be the quote, so he started his career on a computer. Obviously, you started racing in the Legends cars, and you rose your way up through the ranks. iRacing, big tool. So I got to ask, what's your personal opinion on, for lack of a better word, the commentators always saying started his career on a computer?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know why that's been, I feel like honestly it's been attached more so in the Cup Series than any other series that I've raced in. But yeah, I embrace it for sure. There's no question. I love iRacing. I do a lot of it. I have a great relationship with Steve Myers and those guys. But it is funny. I mean, I ran a number of series and won 7 truck races and an Xfinity championship. And a bunch of races and other series. So I don't really know why all that stuff isn't brought up at the cup level, but it is funny how they just revert back to talking about computer racing. But that was in reality 10 years ago for me, from where I am now. So yeah, I mean, I embrace it because it is what I am, and but I definitely I have a lot of racing experience and knowledge outside of that seems to get brushed over.
So shifting over into fan questions really quick, we got 3 that were sent in. The first one is from Bill Wedford on Instagram. He asks, who is your biggest competition on a weekly basis on the track, and how do you prep for races now with no practice and qualifying?
I think the biggest competition on the track is just really you try to learn from your teammates. You try to run as well as your teammates, or beat your teammates, and so that's probably competition wise, I guess. That's one way to put it. It's really whoever's in front of me is who I'm trying to pass. But yeah, I think all of us at HMS try to better each other and ourselves. What was the second part?
Just how do you prepare each week with no practice or qualifying now?
Yeah, honestly, iRacing, the simulator at Chevrolet as well. Typically have a session in there each week, and watching film and studying from the past races and kind of understanding that. And that's really all you can do. I think other than that, physically preparing is really important because we don't get that practice session to really kind of get your body and mind right. So, it kind of all comes together, but it seems like it's been a pretty decent formula. Definitely always room to improve. But yeah, it's been a nice formula. I look at data, and sometimes I feel like the data messes you up more than it helps. So I don't know if that's the best. I don't know if data is the best preparation lately, but try to look at it all to get myself an advantage.
That kind of, talking about racing with the Hendrick cars a lot and your teammates kind of leads into another question that we got from LGR88 on YouTube. He asks, how did the culture at KBM compare to the culture at JRM and HMS?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the culture at HMS was more similar to KBM, I'd say. The approach, I think personnel wise, really HMS is a mix of JRM. It's got a lot of JRM people on my team from past years, but also a lot of HMS people that I had never met before I got there. So those are probably more similar to each other in some ways, personnel wise. So there's similarities in all 3, but JRM was definitely a lot different than KBM. Kyle had a much different approach than Dale. So I think that there were a lot of differences that I had to adjust between being at KBM and going to JRM to get used to.
And then the last question from the fans is from Ryan Wu on Instagram. He asks, how do you manage both school and racing at the same time?
It's tough. I mean, really all my schooling is online. So it's, it's pretty simple to do right now with everything being online. So just try to carry my computer around with me to everywhere and stay up to date with those things. But yeah, I mean, as far as the racing schedule, I think it's been probably the easiest this year because there's been less practice and, I've been able to really be on my computer a lot. So that's been nice. And I think it's kind of been a pretty normal transition during this time with less time at the track.
All right, now real quick before you go, William, Alex Bowman kind of set you up for this one a couple weeks ago when he was on the show with us. So he told us he's all the time getting confused for you. He kind of hinted maybe you're all the time getting confused for him. And even he mentioned a situation where you about didn't get let back into Texas. Can you confirm that for us?
Oh yeah, that was bad. So we're Alex and I were getting in off the team plane. We both fly with HMS every week, and so we were getting in at about 7:30, 8 o'clock on I believe it was Saturday night. Yeah, Saturday night before the race, and so anyways, the people working the gate wouldn't let us in the track, and we're like, well, we don't really have anywhere else to go. We stay in the track. So we didn't really know what to do. So we just kind of circled around the block and got some passes. And then it was just a mess. They still didn't let us in for a while. So we had to make some phone calls. So it was funny.
you couldn't just flash them your driver's card, and that wasn't good enough at this
It
time?
wasn't good. No, they were like, they didn't care. They were like, you have to
Rigid.
Just
get
do a
outside in your real
Google
car.
search on William Byron. You're gonna find who it is.
Yeah, it was funny.
Awesome. Well, William, we really appreciate your time this afternoon, and best of luck this weekend at Daytona. We'll all be watching. Thanks for being on, man.
Yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
And we are back. Let me make sure everyone can hear us. So yes, we are back. That was William Byron. Again, a huge thank you to William Byron and the folks at Hendrick Motorsports for helping us set that up. And thank you to William for being so generous with his time. It was great to talk to him this afternoon. I hope you all enjoyed that at home. We still have a lot more to talk about tonight. We still have another guest coming on the show here very shortly. And of course, we have picks to wrap the night up. But Jarrett, what is the next topic for us to address tonight? What's next on the docket?
Right before we get to it, I just want to comment that like somebody left in that they were signature 7,139. So we've gained them about 200 signatures in 20 minutes. Good job, guys. That's awesome. Let's talk next gen. Cole Custer had made some remarks on Twitter and on just his recording and stuff. And I found a few of them interesting. I did a little research to sort of compare with some other stuff from the past. He's talking about there's like the 750 motor kind of, just a little more downforce, which I want to say downforce is not necessarily a bad thing. Everyone talks about the 2014 package. They had more downforce than people would remember. I mean, you look at that spoiler.
Those were big spoilers.
He says it's still early. So again, they don't know how it races in traffic. He ran a 23.8. Says they can probably get to the mid to high 23s in 23-second laps at Dover. Which is interesting because I looked back at some of the pole speeds. And granted, pole speeds probably like a second faster than normal race speeds, but still, 2019 pole speeds were 29.559 and 21.692, and then you go down even back to 2014, 21.892. So I think it's just a matter they got to figure it out to make it faster, which is a good thing that they have more than a year to get it really figured out. He says the car travels more, not as glued to the track as the current ones are. So what are your guys' main takeaways of what Cole Custer had to say about the next gen test?
The big thing he said that it kind of echoes what Byron said not only in your question earlier today, Jared, but also what he said, a few months back. It sounds like the biggest difference with the car is with the steering and specifically with the tires. Remember, these are bigger wheels, like larger in diameter, as well as I think they're wider tread. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not entirely sure, but I believe they're actual wider tires as well. All I know is they're different, so that's going to, of course, create a different feel. It does sound like the only negative I'm hearing about the car that when I'm gathering from these drivers is it sounds like it's a little unpredictable. Like it's harder to drive, like you said, it's not as glued to the track, especially as it is right now with the 550 high downforce package, but it's sideways, not necessarily for the right reasons. It sounds like, based on what Cole Custer said, there's an edge, there's a very thin edge, and if you're on this side of the edge, it's tough to handle, but you can handle it pretty well. It's not too hard to handle. But if you even step a millimeter out of that edge, it's way too sideways to do anything with it. And to me, that I feel like that razor thin edge, I would like that to be a little bit wider of a gray area so that the better drivers can maybe venture out there more, push it on that edge, and fight it, but still be able to make good lap time rather than step over the line and just go out of control. That's the only thing I'm a little concerned about, and I think that has something to do with the tires and with the way the steering works, because the company who's helped design these cars, Dallara, of course, their background is with IndyCar, with open wheel cars, and I believe they're also they do stuff for IMSA, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe not IMSA, but I do know they do some sports car stuff as well. And the way those cars steer, the way that mechanism works is completely different from how NASCAR's has worked for years, the stock cars have worked for years, and so I worry that maybe there's still some kinks they need to work out there, because I like harder to drive, and I'm encouraged that they at least ran 750 horsepower this weekend, which we were under the impression that they might go less than that for all tracks at some point.
I think, didn't Phelps say, even when he was with us, that they were like, at the time their goal was closer to 500?
It was like in the 500 to 600 range is what it sounded like. Maybe that's still the case for the mile and a half, I don't know, but I thought that was interesting. I like harder to drive, but I don't like twitchy and unpredictable. That's where I'm at.
It reminds me a bit of the old, and again, maybe this is me just being a nostalgic fan. It reminds me a little bit of the Gen 4 era. I mean, if you remember back then, if somebody got on your bumper, even if they just barely nudged you, you did like a full 180 spin.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
you immediately just spun around. And then I know that that was one thing they wanted to work on with the COT and the Gen 6 is like that you can hit somebody and they don't spin around. So I don't think that right there is necessarily a connective tissue to good racing like that or whatever you want to, like, you know, people might want to make it as. But I did find that really interesting because I'm like, that just reminds me of 2005 or 6 or so. Like, I'm not saying that's going to make it good. I think that was actually a big problem of the Gen 4 era, is that towards the end they were extremely aero dependent. People forget about that. It was good racing, but it's like if those things got, like, you know, if a fly hit it, they were like messed up the rest of the day. But they did have a valence you could pull out, not a friggin' splitter, so that's good. But it's still like, you know, I feel like a broken record. We said it before. I think it's still too early to have a big gauge on it yet. But the stuff we're hearing, it does sound like they're going in the right direction.
Well, what I like to see is that for the most part, it seems like Cole Custer's saying like yes, it is harder to an extent, but it is something that I can transition into. So they're keeping enough the same that I don't think there's going to be necessarily a problem. There will be some probably, you know, few things to work out, and I'm sure, but you know, it's going to make probably the first, I don't know, 5 to 10 races that they use with this new car in 2022. This one,
yes.
Yeah, that's 2022. Those are probably going to be very interesting races because you know, minimal experience in them. Hopefully, COVID is long gone out the door and we can practice because they're going to need practice at that point.
I will make a prediction now, and I don't think it's going to be a good one, but I do think we're going to see a lot of dominating performances at the start of the next gen cars release. I think some teams are going to hit on it right away.
And there's probably going to be some drivers that just take to it so easily. Because, like, when you think back to 2013, Dale Jr. was one of the first ones to really just take to that new car. Like,
same to Casey Kane.
They were on an entirely other level compared to others. But in time, though, that obviously changed.
And look at Hendrick Motorsports in 2007 when they had the COT. They were unbelievable that year. I mean, they won 18. I mean, granted, they won a lot of Gen 4 races too, but I mean, they were always up front. If I'm not mistaken, they won like the first 3 or 4 races. Yeah, they won because Truex was the first driver that wasn't a Hendrick driver to win in the COT, because they won Bristol with Kyle Busch, Martinsville with Jimmy Johnson, with Jeff Gordon beside him, I might add, Phoenix with Jeff Gordon, Richmond was Jimmy Johnson, and Kyle Busch won 2, and I think Gordon was there. I mean, they were just dominant with that car. And I think that somebody like SHR or Gibbs or Penske, one of those 3, I think, is going to be extremely dominant with this car. And I do think there's going to be some people that take a jump up.
There's going to be the issue of, you know, a lot of these teams who are great right now, their notes are not going to apply to this next car. And so, honestly, Hendrick might be one of those teams that does start off the best. Like, we might see Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, if he's still there. We might see those 2 getting a lot of wins to start off 2022.
Maybe. I guess if there's anything else to add, there's one other story we can talk about before our next guest gets in here. If there's nothing else.
Sounds good. I've lost track. What is the last story?
Well, it's not the last. We still have one more for a little bit, but
okay.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I swear we're talking about a basketball player, but he's rumored. Him and Denny Hamlin are being rumored to be buying into RPM. Spokespeople have talked to Bob Pockrass and said on August 13th and the 25th that there's no validity to those rumors, but that's what they're supposed to say.
Yeah, obviously, why would they just, oh, yeah, I'm buying it right now.
I got the pen in my hand. We are... No,
Pen's in the chat.
Yeah, there we go. I was just trying to bring it full circle there. But...
So that's the biggest thing I've seen in my comment section today. Oh, Michael Jordan already said no. Of course he would. Why would he just just admit? Oh yeah, Bob, I bought it last week.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think the report from Bob Pockrass that he asked his spokesperson directly, I think that makes it less likely that anything's going to happen imminently. I think if something was going to happen in the next week, if we're going to get an announcement, very soon, I think they would have just said no comment or something like that. But the fact that they went out of their way to say no makes it sound like it's less likely than it was before. But you're right. What are they going to say? They're not going to say yes unless it's guaranteed. So that being said, I don't necessarily think maybe Michael Jordan himself isn't involved in these conversations, but per all the reports and rumors, Richard Petty Motorsports has talked to Toyota, and from multiple reports and maybe still rumors, Denny Hamlin has been somewhat involved in those discussions. Now, Michael Jordan himself may not be signing off on this, but that doesn't necessarily mean the Jordan brand isn't involved. I mean, the Jordan brand is a subsidiary of Nike. I don't really know how much control Michael Jordan really has over where Nike or the Jordan brand spends their money. And Denny Hamlin has a relationship not only with Michael Jordan, but it's the Jordan logo, the Jordan brand logo that's on his hat, on his fire suit, on his shirt. So the idea that Nike or Jordan wouldn't necessarily still be an investor in Richard Petty Motorsports should Hamlin and Toyota and all them come to an agreement with Petty and Bubba Wallace, that's definitely still a possibility. This just makes it sound like it's maybe not Michael Jordan in those conversations. Now, it is all still rumors. There's still a very real possibility that the Jordan brand is not involved in any way, shape, or form, and this is all coincidence, but it's a pretty gnarly coincidence if that is the case. So we'll see.
I am very much lost here. Maybe one of you two can help me on this. What is the exact rules on this 4-car rule that said that somehow Denny Hamlin can't do this and race for Joe Gibbs? And how is this any different than Dale Earnhardt driving for Richard Childress and owning DEI? Just someone tell me.
I don't think there is, honestly.
I think
some people are telling me online like, oh, Denny Hamlin can't do it because of this 4-car rule. I'm like, what is a 4-car rule? What does that mean?
That's just for if they're under the Joe Gibbs roof. That's not.
I've heard there's a rule involved where it's like you can't drive for one team and then profit off of a separate team. But if there's a way for you to prove that you aren't like that would stop. Like if Tony Stewart, since he owned Stewart-Haas Racing, if he then also went to drive for Penske, that might be an issue.
What is BJ McLeod doing then?
I don't know, because I've also heard they don't enforce it, because I've seen people mention the BJ McLeod thing, and I've heard that that's just like they just don't enforce it because NASCAR is not in a position to shoo away potential team owners. So I think if Denny Hamlin I think that's part of why the Jordan brand has been rumored so heavily, because if the Jordan brand or Nike or somebody becomes a major investor, maybe there's a loophole there where if Denny Hamlin is a 10% owner of the team and 50% of it's Jordan, 30% of it's Bubba, another 10% or something's Richard Petty. If Denny Hamlin's just a very minor owner in the team, like less than majority, maybe that's where the loophole lies. And now that he's allowed to ride wherever he wants, or he's able to do whatever.
That makes sense.
Now, if Richard Petty Motorsports goes to Toyota and they up their alignment with JGR, who's to say Hamlin doesn't just go drive for Richard Petty and just it's now going to be a Gibbs affiliated car. Some Toyota guys are probably going to come over there. I don't think that'd be the smartest career move for Hamlin when he's dominating this year in the 11 car. I wouldn't want to mess with that, but maybe that's where his thoughts are. I don't really know. It's all very speculative at this point. I do think there's some truth. I think there is a very real possibility that we see the 43 car run Toyota next year, but will there be a second team? Is Michael Jordan or Denny Hamlin involved? That stuff I think is still very much just surface level rumors. There's not a whole lot of weight to them yet, but it is possible. That's where I stand on that.
Again, just the argument of, what Dale Earnhardt did and what BJ McLeod is currently doing. That's just where I'm like, that don't make no sense.
Yeah, I don't. Earnhardt, Earnhardt, it was different there too. So I don't know.
This is honestly though the most interesting. The Petty 43 has been probably since Richard Petty's retirement year. I mean, this is just insane how, between the publicity that Bubba's brought in, the sponsorship he's brought in, Petty seemingly jumping up to the present day compared to what a lot of people were talking about beforehand about how that team was run. Their option to possibly be a Gibbs affiliate, and I really don't think that this would be another one that's going to kick the bucket 6 years later.
6 years later, maybe. I don't think it would happen in 2 or 3 years. 6 years is a long time. Things can happen, but it's not going to be like Levine. Levine was a special case because if COVID doesn't happen, Levine's still a Toyota team.
But this is I think the entire difference here is this is a team that from the foundation of being built was built simply from a racer being and a racing team compared to Levine being a fan getting in. I love Bob Levine.
That's true.
We follow each other. He's an awesome guy, but he was a fan getting in. Barney Visser, a fan getting in. They made the wrong decisions.
Yeah. They had
rip
their
on
own
Richard
businesses and then they brought it into NASCAR.
We can, make criticisms of Richard Petty and about how they ran that team, but they're running it as a racing team. That is a racing team just through and through, not to say that any validity against the others. So I would say that they're coming into it probably off of a better experience than any other affiliate for Toyota has. And probably the best since Michael Waltrip. And if they don't screw themselves there, they're probably still here today, So like
a lot of people may forget that. A lot of people may forget, especially those who just don't take 5 minutes to look at Bubba Wallace's history. They don't realize that he was at one time a prominent Toyota Racing development driver with Joe Gibbs Racing. So for this to come full circle for him to potentially get back into that program would be great for him.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I would love to see a Petty Blue 43 up front and competitive again, making the playoffs, off of just being good, not off of a fluke rain win at Daytona. There is a lot of hope for RPM right now. That is all.
That is all. You've spoken your piece. I don't have anything else to add.
I have spoken.
That was the quietest we've been all show, guys.
Yeah.
Show us the Mandalorian 2 trailer. I have spoken.
Cool. So
anyway,
is that what else do we have to talk about before we get into our final guest and picks?
One other, just that Joliet Plan Commission, they rejected with a 7-0 vote NASCAR's plan to allow warehouses to be built on the Chicagoland Speedway grandstand to try and bring more revenue in for the track. Chicagoland President Scott Paddock says that this is not over, but this stops NASCAR from having any new revenue streams that they were wanting to bring into the track.
And I heard
overall, it's not the greatest news. It's not the end of the world doom and gloom, but it's not the greatest.
Yeah, and I heard part of their reasoning was traffic concerns. They don't want to see, big trucks or whatever they were, I guess, expecting driving in those roads. I haven't been to Joliet, Illinois. I don't know a whole lot about.
It's awful.
Well, spoken from a true Illinoisan. What do they call you? What do you call you people in Illinois?
Overtaxed. They have their roads get very congested really easily. Getting in and out of just the infield is really tough. That they did not prepare. I don't think they prepared very well for. They've widened out the main roads, but there's roads around the track that are still single lane roads. There's no real area to get in and out. Traffic jams are just insane around that track on race day, even on like Monday rain delay days. Like when I went in 2011 back for the rain delay, it was the traffic was noticeably still tough to get around and through. They don't have as many roads that lead and show very well into the track. It's tough, man. It's tough is all I gotta say on that one, because like Chicagoland Speedway has been having a lot of problems and they have not kept up with it, and Joliet has not helped in any way whatsoever with it. But it's very tough to get around Chicagoland compared to a track like Kansas. I keep comparing it to Kansas, but Kansas renovated around it and it's really shown well, and how they've been, they've had a resurgence at the track. But yeah, that's about all I gotta say. And 1 second, my camera's about to go out. You guys keep talking about.
No, yeah, I think basically what he said. I've never been to Chicagoland Speedway, but I know from experience other tracks often don't have super developed, like Texas Motor Speedway, for example. For the longest time, it was like a 2-lane road going away from the track, and traffic afterwards was terrible. Now they've updated a lot of that quite a bit. Traffic the last couple Texas races, partially because the crowd's only about half the size it once was, has been a lot less hectic getting out of Texas. So I don't know about Chicagoland, but I can understand the concerns there. But I guess it's disappointing in the sense that was something NASCAR, they had that deal with Hillwood to try and develop areas around some of their now owned tracks. Chicagoland was one of them, and so I think they were banking on this being an opportunity for them to kind of drive up some revenue for Chicagoland Speedway, use it in a way that makes sense for them, and for the city to I guess strike that down, or at least not approve it for the time being. I don't live in the community, so maybe it's the right move for the community. Maybe for the non-NASCAR fans that live nearby, they're happy with it. But as a NASCAR fan who believes NASCAR was going to try and do something good with that, I guess I'm disappointed. But again, I don't know a whole lot about all the politics that may or may not be around it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just the tough part about it is When we've talked to a few people that have worked at Chicagoland just because we've been at the track, and it sounded like the future in general, even back in 2019, 2018, was very year to year deal. Like it was, I won't say like it's not doom and gloom, but they're like, we know what we're doing next year, but after that it's complete mystery, and we're like, ooh,
Yeah.
So that's just sort of how it's been for the most part, like around Chicagoland at that point.
Yeah, without a doubt. Have you sent the link to our final guest for the night?
Yes. Is there a passcode for this one?
There should not be. I'll let him know when I see him. In the meantime, I am going to answer read a few super chats we got here from Nathan. Thank you, Nathan. That was pretty cool. Thanks, guys. Talking about the William Byron interview. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope everyone enjoyed William Byron's appearance on the show earlier this hour. Nicholas Gray, thank you for the super chat. Do y'all consider this the craziest, silly season to date? Keep up the awesome content. Well, thank you, Nicholas. It's one of the craziest. I think they're going to keep getting crazier because people are just going to keep signing 1 and 2 year deals, which means people are going to be free agents more often. So with the way things are right now, I think, this year's been one of the crazier ones, and I don't see that trend slowing down anytime soon. But
it's definitely silly.
Well, it's in the name. It's living up to the expectations, I guess. And then last one we got here is from Nathan again. Thank you, Nathan, for the support tonight. You should try to get Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano in the same interview. I have a feeling it wouldn't be as exciting as people would want it to be. It would be cool to hear the two of them sort of rehash. I don't know if there's been enough time between it though. It's only been 5 years since 2015. I don't know if there's enough time has passed. That's the type of thing where in like 20 years it would be funny to go back and do something like that. But I don't know. It could be interesting. We do have our final guest. He is here. I'm going to let him in. Daniel, it's Buttafuoco, right? That's how you say it, correct? I don't know.
Yes.
We'll
That's
figure
how
it
I've
out.
always been saying it.
That's how I've heard it. That's how like Rusty and stuff on the broadcast is always.
We're in.
There it is. Oh, he's in the setup. Daniel, you got us.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh my gosh, the Geico Gecko is making an appearance on the NASCAR Weekly podcast.
So about that, so I've had this on the whole season. So literally, like, if I got my wheel here, so I have this like the same height I have the wheel in, and it would be right here.
That's terrifying.
And it hung on the whole season. So
wow,
it was great.
He just looks at you condescending, like when you miss a turn, he's just like staring at you, like I can't believe you missed that.
He's giving me a thumbs up right now, but there's been plenty of times where he's giving me the thumbs downs.
Is that how you stay focused? You just stare right into his eyes, and it just directs right at the track.
It's definitely helped me get better at eye staring contests. So it definitely does keep me focused. So, it does. Like, it's weird, but like, it's at the point where I don't really see him. So it's not distracting. So it works out.
He doesn't exist.
Yeah.
He's a lucky charm. I like it.
Awesome. Well, Daniel, you're coming straight off the heels of a NASCAR Heat Pro League championship. Talk about your season and what led up to this point. And obviously, congratulations first and foremost.
Thank you so much. Really glad to be on here. Thank you all for this incredible opportunity. This season has been huge for the Germain Gaming team, Geico, and for me personally. Season 1 wasn't the best for me, but then I wanted to work hard to make sure, season 2 is going to be much better. A part of a great organization, like I said, of Germain Racing, Sam Jones for all she does, and got to thank Kyle Arnold, my man, my teammate. He's helped me a lot throughout this season, get better, and just overall help me build confidence, which is what I needed going in. And just, last year I had 4 top 5s and 13 top 10s. This year we had 4 wins and 13 top 5s and 16 top 7s. So it was a big step up and really helped me helped me be able to believe in myself more. For all the hard work putting into it and everyone involved, it was just a really great year.
And go ahead, Jarek.
I just want to ask, I see all the Heat, Germain in the background. I saw the video, like Ty Dillon showing support. How has Germain really been just in general from first year going into this year supporting you and the esports community?
Yeah, they've been very supportive. They really Sam Jones has put a lot of effort into Germain Gaming. She really has a lot of faith in esports. She wants the team to grow. And she's put a lot of faith in both me and Kyle Arnold that we can really do well and perform. And she always, gives us great support. She always makes us look good on social media, all that. all that good stuff. And, Geico being a really great sponsor. And also Ty Dillon's been really supportive as well. Like, so my first one was Watkins Glen, and it was in the trucks. And my first win, the first one for the team, the first one for Geico. So there's a lot going on. It was a very big day for all of us, and I was so excited. It was the best day of my life at that point until Bristol happened. Then literally Ty Dillon, I think either that night or the night after, he was DMing me on Instagram saying, "Hey, great job. I was watching the race. Great way to go. Great job representing Jermaine." So that became real at that point.
That's awesome. And, you're representing one of the premier partners of NASCAR with Geico. So is there any extra pressure? I mean, you got the Geico gecko there staring at you as you race. I guess that's a lot of pressure, but how does that feel? Like you're in it. You are legitimately, competing for a NASCAR Cup Series team. Like, I know you've been doing it now for this 2 seasons now, but how does that feel? Like, does that feel real yet to you?
It's still mind-boggling. I always look back at my younger self because I got into racing through the movie Cars, Pixar movie Cars. So it wasn't. I know our family didn't know anything about racing, so I literally got them into it through the movie. So then I look back at me racing in like the young days and moving up, and it's surreal. I never would have pictured this. It's just really awesome. And I mean, once again, you put into perspective there, Geico is one of the main sponsors of NASCAR, so it's. To be representing an incredible brand and to be representing Jermaine Racing, I mean, it's just like, wow, it can be pretty overwhelming, but at the same time, I have fun with it. And if you have fun with it, just keep doing it. I mean, that's really the biggest thing.
So Daniel, we had William Byron on the show earlier. Obviously, everyone always said he started his career on a computer, started the computer right up, and there was racing. No, in your case, though, you kind of say, yes, you are making your career on the computer. Think back, what was the first racing game that you played that got you excited about playing racing games?
Right, yeah. So it was NASCAR 08, and at that time I was on the PlayStation. So apologies, all Xbox guys.
Gosh.
I'm very sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Ripped to anyone racing at Martinsville. You barely come around the corner, and then all of a sudden you go flipping.
Oh yeah, I mean, like at that time though, when I was 7, I was the kind of kid who just liked wrecking all the cars. So I didn't take it that serious. But then like when I was like 9 or 10, I took it a little more serious. But then as I got older, I started to realize what league racing was, and that when you take all the traction control, ABS, automatic transmission stuff off, that's when it became more serious. But yeah, like there's a few photos of me when I was literally in the living room in the recliner chair, and we had a little lunch table, and then my parents just watched me drive, or at least attempt to drive. That's when it gets pretty real. So it's crazy how esports has grown. It's really awesome. So I can't wait for what's to come.
Yeah, this year y'all had even like an increased prize pool and all that great stuff. So that's pretty awesome. And I do want to ask, take us through those last laps at Bristol for the championship race. Because watching it, it was you and Justin Brooks going back and forth there down the stretch. Talk us through, late race pass for the win for the championship. What was your thoughts kind of going down the stretch there?
Oh man, so yeah, that final restart was interesting because I restarted third. And then I was battling Gritton in the 14, and then we kind of door banged by accident. Like he hit the wall, and he bounced off me, and then I got hit in the rear. I got damage, and I'm like, okay, let's just let's keep going. And I started to close in on him. I was getting faster than him, and at that point, I'm like, all right, let's do this. Let's keep it up. And then with like 10 to go, I started making moves because I was right on him. So I tried the outside. It wasn't really working. The bottom lane doesn't work at all, really. So I couldn't really go that. I tried building runs and tried to switch back to get through him because I wanted to get by him as clean as possible. But then it was like 5 to go. I'm like, I'm really gonna have to put the bumper to him. And with like 3 to go, I moved him just a little, Bristol baby, Rubbins racing, just moved him up the track a little bit. And then he kept door banging me, and I'm like, you for real? And he, I don't know what happened. I don't remember what happened off of 2, but I was coming off the corner in the middle lane. He was on the top lane. He hit the wall, and I wasn't trying to wreck him. I wasn't trying to even put him in the wall. I was just trying to get around him to get to the middle lane just to try and pass him. And then once we got ahead, we kept pulling away those last 2 laps. And like once I hit the final corner, the emotions started to build because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a NASCAR heat champion. Like I was like, wow, it's pretty crazy. So, and having my family jump in was pretty cool. But overall, it was really great. My friend kind of put it as the bump heard around the world because there was a lot of controversy about that. But I mean, I think anybody would have done it to win the championship, and I worked hard to get here. I'm not going to let that one opportunity slip because I want it for the team, I want it for Geico. I just, nobody remembers who finished second. So I really wanted to know what it's like to be champion. And it's Bristol, baby.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Short track racing.
Racing, yeah.
Bristol, we love Bristol for that very reason. But yeah, congratulations again. That's fantastic. You're just in time. Well, we're wrapping up the show. You want to stick with us to do picks for Daytona this weekend?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Hey, real quick before we get into that, I want to give a shout out here to a story that Jared has overlooked here. We just got done with Dover. Dover is the parent company track an hour down the street from me, Nashville Super Speedway, coming back, next year. They have announced who their new track president is.
Oh yes. How did I forget that?
It's actually a really good pick. Eric Moses. He used to be involved as like the leader of the XFL team, the DC Defenders, and was highly praised for what he was able to do with that organization in their short time. And also with this, he's now the first ever, from my knowledge, and I think from a lot of other people's knowledge, black track president in NASCAR. So that is an awesome achievement right there.
Yeah, that's a great story. Yeah, glad we hit on that before the end of today's episode. So with that being said, I guess, we're ready to move into race picks for Daytona, the final regular season NASCAR Cup Series race. Well, this graphic I have is sort of covering a lot of your screen, Jarrett. I'm so sorry, but that's okay.
Darn.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I'm going to watch now and just see.
So Daniel, in case you're unaware, the way we do this, we kind of do 3 rounds. The first round, we talk about who kind of maybe is going to suck, who's going to have a worse race than usual, who might get caught up in the big wreck. Second round, we'll do I see you, Jared, you're leaning out. You're funny.
I'm trying to. I'm kind of on it.
Second round, we pick kind of an underdog, dark horse, who might have a great race. And then lastly, of course, we do who wins. And we do one at a time. So for this first round...
one second. We have an extra one this week. We're going to pick which 3, and again, after those, which 3 drivers... we think will make the playoffs too.
All right, we'll do that. That'll be the fourth one.
Okay.
So we got 4 rounds. So we'll go with round 1 here. We'll start with, I'll put you on the spot, Danny. We'll start with you. Who sucks this weekend, the Saturday night at Daytona?
I mean, anyone who's kind of running in the back, no offense. I mean, it's kind of hard because it's Daytona. Like, it's very unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kind of anyone who's maybe starting parking. No offense. I love all the starting parks. Love y'all. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe who typically, do we have any stats on who typically gets in wrecks?
We don't do research here. I mean, Kyle Busch historically has struggled in this race, I think. Well, not this race specifically. I'm getting this mixed up with Talladega in the playoffs. I don't know. I mean, Stenhouse has caused some big wrecks.
I don't want to make anybody mad, but I'm just going to go with, I don't know, maybe Reed Sorensen if he's racing. I mean, I don't know.
That's a safe pick.
So,
I don't think anyone's going to get on you for that one. Smart man. All right, the other Daniel, Danny B. Who's your suck pick?
Well, I hate to say it because of what is directly in the background of Daniel here, but he can run good here. I haven't really seen him have too many good finishes here.
Going after Ty Dillon?
I'm gonna say Ty Dillon. Unfortunately.
What are we doing? What?
Danny's trying to make some freaking controversy here.
I mean, I know your name's Dan and all, but I don't respect that, man. Come on.
Hey, with that being said, though, all he can do is prove me wrong. So
there you go. There's only one way to go from here, and that's up. All right.
His best career finishes have been at Daytona, dude.
Not enough for
me
to say
that he's not
gonna... I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Make me tear up.
I'm just waiting for the gecko to just his head to just snap and look at Danny.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. I got another one right here. Hold up. He's not too happy right now. I'm not too impressed.
My God.
Got a stern look at you, and it ain't a stern bomb.
I like Ty. I want him to prove me wrong.
Oh my goodness. All right, well, Jarrett,
Watch he's gonna win. Watch.
I'd love it. That'd be hilarious at this point.
Please. Yes.
Where's he at in points? Would that put him in the playoffs?
Oh yeah. Are you trying to say he's also outside the top 30? No.
He's been like outrunning a lot of teams this year that are like way ahead usually.
I think he's like
7th.
I don't know,
Yeah.
somewhere around there.
He
Is
always
that
goes
right?
under. He always
Yeah,
goes under the
he's-
radar for me. I'm sorry.
He's
That's
in the
okay.
top 30, and he is
Yeah.
securely in the top 30. But I should
Yeah.
add.
Okay.
This is funny. This is a great
Um,
start.
You know what? I'm gonna go from
Content.
upsetting a panel
Content.
member. I'm gonna go from upsetting a panel member to I'm gonna just upset the chat.
Oh God, no.
And I might be spoiling one of my
Oh, here
later
we
picks.
go.
Matt DiBenedetto. Jesus Christ, he's been bleeding points, and I feel bad for picking him. But it's like
Oh boy.
if there's momentum, like Byron's kind of like holding steady-ish, Johnson's up, and like DiBenedetto's just heading straight down, man. Like
Yeah, wow.
he's been having bad momentum. He is very, very iffy at Daytona. He's had good finishes, but he's had some really stinkers at Daytona. I don't have faith in him, man. Like the racing gods are cruel, and I think that he's gonna be their next victim.
Yeah, well, I don't hate it, but Benedetto isn't a Penske affiliated car, and Penske's been so good at the super speedways. That's a tough pick for me. I'm gonna go basically random here. I'll say Martin Truex Jr. He doesn't have a whole lot of success historically at super speedways. I'll say Truex gets caught up in something and just never is really a contender. I'll keep it simple.
I'm gonna make this up. It's because I have insulted our guests here. If I am proven wrong, I'm gonna put my channel's integrity on the line here, and I will make a video called 5 reasons why Ty Dillon is the greatest NASCAR driver ever. If he can win this weekend, I will do that for you.
That is great.
All right. I'll keep that in mind. All
Just yet another reason to watch diligently on Saturday night.
Virtual handshake to make it official.
Convincing y'all are on
Is
the
that-
opposite
is that
end
in
of the
cut?
stream. That's
I think, yeah.
Yeah, wait.
good
Wait.
enough.
There's my camera. Yeah.
Close enough. All right. Well, next round we're blowing through picks right now. My goodness. Underdog picks. We'll go in the same order if you'd like. Who do you think might have a surprising performance Saturday night, Daniel?
I just got to go my man Ty Dillon, of course.
There you
I
go.
mean, even though Danny B's not, he's putting, but I have evidence for this. So, I mean, I think either in his rookie or sophomore year, I think he got a top 5 at this very event, if I recall, or a top 10. I don't know.
He did
but
have
he
a
was
good
running
run, I
strong.
remember, yeah.
Had a really good run. Last year, he won a stage at Talladega, albeit it's Talladega, but, he's been really good in the restricted plate races. Been very strong. Been strong the whole season, but I think the restricted plates has been a really good sweet spot for the team. So I think that they can be a really good underdog and hopefully get the win.
I like it. Danny B, who's your underdog?
Underdog has to be Jimmy Johnson just because of where he's at in his career right now. Sentimentally, you want to see him win. Do I think he's going to win? No, I don't, but would love to see him win.
Sentimental. Come on. I know Jimmy Johnson be a sentimental pick, but I think my underdog pick is beating yours on sentimental value here, Danny. You made a video about him. He might be unlucky, but he is also pretty good. I mean, he's been leading in a lot of these. I'm going Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman's my underdog pick. I would not be surprised to see him making this the probably greatest story of the year, honestly.
That's pretty fair. I considered him because he does have good stats here.
Yeah, I really like that Ryan Newman pick. I'll go with someone a little bit different. I'll go with another fun pick. I'll go with the guy we had on the show earlier today. I think William Byron. This might be as good a shot as he's had in a while to maybe go for his first career Cup Series victory, and it would come in a very clutch way. So look for William Byron to be up near the front, I think, all Saturday night. So he'll be my underdog pick. With that being said, let's move on to win picks. Who is going to find victory lane Saturday night? Will it be a playoff driver? Will it be someone from outside the top 16 breaking things up? Again, I guess we'll start with you again, Daniel. Who is your pick to win Saturday?
I mean, I don't have one. Ty Dillon again? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, yeah, I think he will. I think he could, honestly, to be real. But I think Denny Hamlin's been strong. Especially when it turns to the night conditions. The last 2 500s have been night, and he was pretty strong there. Any of the Penske guys, realistically, I think, like maybe a Brad has been really good at restrictor plates. So maybe like Denny or Brad, I would say. Maybe even Chase. I don't know.
Just keep name dropping people.
Yeah,
The chat will love you. Just keep naming all the popular drivers. Jimmy's gonna win.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Who's Danny B? Who's your win pick?
Jared, how could I possibly have him as sentimental when I do believe Ryan Newman will win this weekend?
Oh, nice!
Wow, what a twist!
He's gonna break the bad. He's gonna break the bad luck. Redemption for the track nearly taking him out of this world, and he's gonna win, get himself into the playoffs. I mean, dude, His last 10 super speedway finishes, 24th, 9th, 3rd, 5th, 2nd, 5th, 7th, 14th, 9th,
Wow,
9th.
someone actually did do research.
Beans,
for these.
beans,
Wow.
potatoes. You know it.
He will break through. Ryan Newman will win this weekend.
I love it. Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna bring the mood down with this one. I don't think we're gonna see anybody I don't think we're gonna see anybody new.
Don't say
I'll
Harvick.
be completely honestly. Now you're tempting me. I wasn't gonna say him, but you're tempting me. I'm gonna go Denny Hamlin.
You're gonna say Denny. Yeah.
Denny
All right.
Hamlin.
All right, fine.
I think Denny Hamlin's gonna win. In my opinion, Denny Hamlin at this time is the best super speedway racer in NASCAR. And I think that he's gonna have it on full display. He's gonna get those much needed playoff points that he needs to keep up and stay right there with Harvick going into the playoffs. And so I got Denny Hamlin making it.
All right. I'll go with another not super shocking pick, but I'm going to go with a guy who's won 2 of the last 3 super speedway races. I think Ryan Blaney gets the win this weekend. Yeah, I mean, again, none what else to say. Penske's been really fast. Fords in general have been really fast at the super speedways. I think it's a good chance for Ryan Blaney to get some more important playoff points before the actual playoffs start. So, cool. So yeah, now we're going to talk about who makes the playoffs.
I'll read off really quick the people on the playoff bubble, just so that we have full context.
Oh boy.
Clint Bowyer is plus 57 over the cutoff. DiBenedetto is plus 9 over the cutoff. Byron plus 4, and then Jimmy minus 4, Jones minus 50. Everybody else behind Eric Jones needs a win. So,
All right.
Which 3 drivers make up that final 3 playoffs?
I want to start with you on this one, Jarrett. Since you just read off the numbers, I want to know your picks first and foremost. Let's change up the order a little bit.
Ooh. Well, Clint Bowyer, I think he's locked for the most part. He has not finished lower than 34th.
You spoiled that about an hour and a half ago, so we knew that
I know,
already.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll explain a little more. He has not. I did a little research.
Oh boy,
a little bit. He has not finished below 34th position in a Daytona race since the 2014 Daytona 500. He needs to finish 34th if somebody below him wins.
Okay.
If somebody in the top 16 already wins, he just has to start the race basically. So I think he'll be in. This guy is one of the most underrated super speedway racers ever, in my opinion. 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson's going to make it. So that leaves it between William Byron and Matt DiBenedetto.
I think I know where this one's heading.
I'm going William Byron.
All right.
Byron, while he does not have the greatest luck here, has better luck than DiBenedetto, and for the most part right now. So I'm going Byron. I'm taking I wouldn't say he's a hot hand, but a hotter hand than DiBenedetto is. And I don't mean to hate on him right now. I love Matty D, but it's just the way things are going right now. And I could be proven wrong. This is Daytona. Anything could happen. For all I know, someone could get hit by an asteroid on the backstretch.
That would be catastrophic. The whole world would end. But yes, that could happen.
Someone could get hit by a seagull. We've seen that happen before,
In the universe, honestly, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Well, I'll jump in second because mine's, spoiler, not too different. I think Bowyer, he's safe. Unless he wrecks on lap 5, I think he's good to go. And then I trust the Hendrick machine. I think none of those drivers are bold enough to step out of line in any major way. I think they're going to work together pretty consistently. So you're right. While DiBenedetto is technically a Penske affiliated car and they have shown a lot of speed at the super speedways, I just don't feel like he has the right momentum. And I know momentum is ultimately a meaningless thing when it's all said and done, but I'm going to go with the Hendrick guys. I think Johnson and Byron sneak in. I do think a few drivers outside the top 16 are going to scare us. I think Eric Jones will scare us. I think Ricky Stenhouse will scare us, probably because he's going to cause a wreck from inside the top 10. Because this is the last meaningful race he might drive in his NASCAR career, I'm going to give my boy Matt Kenseth the benefit of the doubt and say he does lead laps Saturday night and maybe scares a few people. But again, I don't think he's going to win. So I think the 2 Hendrick guys making in with Bowyer and DiBenedetto, unfortunately, will just miss out.
Well, for me, Clint Bowyer is going to be good as well. I've obviously picked Ryan Newman to win, so that's going to elevate him into the playoffs, thus giving me only one more position here of who can make it. Matt DiBenedetto doesn't usually finish where he needs to in these Daytona races, so I'm going to say he doesn't make it. And between William Byron and Jimmy Johnson, I'm going to give it to Jimmy Johnson. I just remember William Byron has also often ended up, just like the Daytona 500 this year, ended up in a crash on the backstretch. So I'm going to give it to Jimmy Johnson as my final ones to get in.
All right. So what do you think, Daniel? Who are your picks?
Yeah, so I think Boyer is definitely a lock. I mean, 57 points, like he just needs 3. I really think I think Ty has a good shot. I'm being serious here. I think like with the restrictor plate prowess and knowing how, typically not July anymore, we're August, but like how those races go, and it's pretty wild. And I think since it's going to be much hotter, I think it'll definitely be more of a race of attrition. So I think that may work out in our favor. So I want to say Ty Dillon for sure. I'll keep him on there. I think he's definitely a guy to look out for, but I definitely think Byron will make it because typically he's good at enduring these races. I feel he's usually, he's involved in the big runs, but like 2019 Daytona 500, he was there to the very, very end. So, and then maybe Jimmy. I feel like he's a guy who can be clutch and pull through. So those would be my 3, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on the 13 car.
No, I'm looking right here. I pulled up Ty Dillon's stats, and while the first half of his career at Daytona wasn't the greatest, and he had some problems in February, I'm looking at from the end of 2018 and then also all of 2019, which that second race in 2019 has a comparable package to what we have now. He's been pretty good, sixth, and 4th. And even in one of those races, he had a driver's rating of 95.3 on a 100 scale, and his average finish is 16.4. So,
and that's for
I wouldn't count him out. He runs up front.
Yeah, I'm anticipating this. I'm anticipating this to be 2019 Talladega fall, because with the big stakes and everything, and knowing how Ty can kind of survive the carnage, I think he'll be in a shot.
I like it. It's a driver we haven't talked about a whole lot this year, but certainly this regular season finale might play right into his hands. We'll be watching him. Yeah, I'll add him to my list of drivers that might scare the field at some point or another in this one. But yeah, I guess is that going to do it? Have we hit on all of the final picks for the night, Jarrett?
I think we have.
All right, really quick,
we might have.
Before we begin to hop off here, I want to address the last couple super chats. Keegan, we appreciate the support. Is there a prize for the NASCAR Weekly Podcast Fantasy League? The top 3 are within 100 points, and I am in 3rd. LOL. Who's in charge of that?
I tip my hat to you. We haven't looked at that league since May. We've been slacking.
We'll come up with some sort of prize. You'll definitely get a shout out, Keegan.
I've been doing pretty bad. Claudia's holding strong, though. Claudia, my wife, is in 5th at the moment.
We might have to shout her out at the end of this year. Nathan, thanks for the super chat. Love supporting the channel. You're doing amazing, Eric. Well, thank you, Nathan. I didn't mean to read that and make it sound like I'm blowing smoke up my ass, but thank you, Nathan. Appreciate the comment. Where are we at? Carl, thanks for the super chat. What are the odds that playoff drivers opt out of the race to protest against police brutality? I saw Bob Hockris.
I don't say that happened.
Reported that there hadn't been any conversations of that behind the scenes, and I don't see them moving the race or anything like that. So I say that's unlikely, Carl.
Too much money, too many moving parts to do that.
And even the NBA players have already kind of folded their
they're coming back to play this weekend.
Longer.
Yeah.
So I don't see that happening. Maskey official, thanks freaking DiBenedetto. Yeah, I think that was when one of us picked him as an underdog or something. Or maybe it was when you were bashing him and saying he was going to wreck or something, Jared. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what he is. But anyway, thank you all for the super chats. Thank you all for watching tonight and for supporting. And Daniel, thank you for being with us here for the end. Thanks for having fun and letting Danny be, I don't know, spark like World War III over here. It was about to get crazy. Geico versus Tennessee man over here. Like it was getting wild. But thanks for sticking with us. Where can we have your Twitter down in the description below, but where else can people find you and the team?
Yeah, so awesome. So follow that Twitter, please. Trying to grow my social media fan base. Follow Jermaine Racing on Twitter and Geico Racing on Twitter. Shout out to them. You can also follow me at the same like LuckyDog_38 on Instagram if you want. I mean, I really don't post there, but knock yourself out. I have a MySpace. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, there's a Facebook, but I don't really use that much as well. Dan Racer. But I don't really, that's about it.
Well, there are over 500 people watching, so let's get those numbers up, everybody watching in the chat. Let's get his numbers up. And before we head out, we're only 12 away. Let's hit 700 likes before we get out of this thing. Can we get that? We're at 688. We got over 500 watching. 689. I know 11 of you haven't liked it yet. Come on, lick that like button. Put some pens in the chat.
Pens in the chat.
Yeah. That's been our meme for the night. We hit it. We hit 700.
There we go, 700.
I'm sorry.
Should I get the Dale call?
Oh my
Should
God.
I?
Yes. Well,
I
thanks
think
again. Where are we at next week really quick, Jarrett, so people know where to
We're
find
back
us?
here. We're back here September 2nd, same
this
time we
channel?
started tonight.
And
Yeah, doubleheader on Eric's.
Just giving you all a heads up. I won't be here next week. I'll be heading out of town to help my mom with something. So I'll be out of the show next week. However, when we come back September 9th, my birthday, it'll be over on my channel.
Yeah. Maybe you'll be making quite the reappearance there.
And we're working on some different guests for those weeks. We don't have anything confirmed yet to let you guys know. But you know, if stuff goes through, it might be pretty cool. You might want to keep an eye out on Twitter and Instagram,
exciting
and the community
things
tab
in the works. Yeah, make sure you're following the rest of the panel here. All of their channels and social media are in the description as well. But that's gonna do it for this episode. Again, a big thank you to all of our amazing guests. Thank you everyone for watching at home. Jarrett, play us out, I guess.
Cover your ears.
Oh boy.